Alright guys, we'll be starting as soon as this song ends. I want to give people a little bit more time to get in here. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody has had a great day. The stream earlier today went really good. You guys had an opportunity to get in on it. Is anybody? I know Bethany was here. Bethany was here earlier. Was anybody else here earlier? I'm looking to see if I see any names. Hey, Paul. I see Paul there. Jamie. Let's see, Ronnie. I think, Ronnie, were you here earlier? The early stream? I can't remember. Give this song a few minutes to finish. Get myself situated here. Alrighty. Let me get switched over here. How is everybody? How's everybody doing? Let me get my chat up here on my phone. I don't know if y'all could hear me talking during the song, but I was just basically saying I was getting myself situated, getting me a drink, and I was asking to see if anybody was here earlier in the early chat. I know that I know Bethany was. I'm not sure if Ronnie was. I saw Paul. Paul wasn't here earlier. I think he was working. So good to see you, Brother Paul. Paul is the guy who sent me all the KISS albums in the mail. And he's just awesome in my opinion. And so I'm getting myself straightened out here. I got a couple things I want to talk about. I was in between the break of this morning's feed and this one. I did a little bit of work and looked on the internet at some things and went and did some shopping and stuff like that. And while I was on the internet, I found a couple interesting things. I'm going to try to pull this up on my screen and let you guys be able to see it also. And you'll be able to see me in the corner a little bit, but I don't know exactly what kind of view it's going to have on me. But let me pull this up here, and then let me change this over really quick. So I read these articles talking about The Dirt first. I don't know who all has seen The Dirt. I have seen it 3 times so far. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I watched it 2 times last night. I watched it once this morning when I got up, and I was going to watch it again this afternoon, but I didn't get the chance to. But I put up a review about it after the first time I watched it and what I thought about it. And it's funny because I actually had somebody comment. I saw a comment just before I went live, and it was somebody like, they said, "Oh, you are reviewing a Motley Crue video or a Motley Crue movie wearing a Pink Floyd shirt." Because I was wearing a Pink Floyd shirt doing that. And I want to ask, you know, what is it with that? What is it with, I like Pink Floyd. I think their music is really cool. They're not one of my favorite bands, but it's just a shirt I saw and I liked it. And it said Pink Floyd. I liked it. I actually get a lot of compliments on it whenever I'm out and about. People's like, "Oh, Pink Floyd, I like them." But you see, tonight I had a costume change. I pulled a Madonna, and I had a wardrobe change. And I don't know how well you can see that. Oh yeah, I'm actually looking over here. I need to be looking here at you guys. Had a wardrobe change, and but the guy was like, you know, what do you guys think about that? What do you think about if you see somebody talking about, like, if I'm wearing a Metallica shirt, can I only talk about Metallica? If I'm wearing a Metallica shirt, can I not talk about KISS? Can I not talk about any other band? You know, and I've actually seen, you know, I don't know if you guys saw that video, but where Paul gave the reporter a hard time that was wearing a shirt that wasn't KISS. Now, I understand maybe, you know, because the guy was interviewing KISS and that was his job, so it probably would have been maybe a little more respectable to the band that he had a KISS shirt on. But still, you know, I just don't know how people feel about that. How I actually think about it is, man, it's my clothes. You know, if you want me to wear a Motley Crue shirt while I'm doing Motley Crue videos, buy me a Motley Crue shirt. You know, and I don't always wear. This morning I was talking about Motley Crue and KISS, and I had on one of my white shirts that has like a skeleton on it, you know. So, I don't know. That's just always kind of one of my pet peeves, is when people do that, when people talk about somebody for wearing something, and, you know, we're free to wear whatever we want. So I've got this article pulled up, and you guys can chat in whenever you want. Just chat in whenever you want, and comment on whatever you want. So I've got a bunch of new viewers watching. I've got some friends watching, people I actually know watching and everything. So I say hey to y'all. They know me in person, or they know me through the internet. And so, you know, hi y'all. You know, and I've got people, international people watching, which is really cool. I doubt they're watching now because it's about 2 o'clock in Germany, in Italy and places like that, South America, not South America, but South Africa. I've got some people from there. So they're probably asleep, or they're having a really good night right now and not watching me. But I want to talk about this article. If you've watched The Dirt and hadn't seen The Dirt, I don't want to spoil anything for you. I really was not very detailed about what I thought about the movie, and I didn't try to break it down too much and get into too much details. But I saw this article, and this was really interesting to me. It talked about 10 people and events that was left out of Motley Crue's Dirt, the movie. And so, you know, I'm not trying to stop you from watching my stream, but if you don't want to see any spoiler about this, you might want to jump out and come back in about maybe 10 minutes or so. You can jump out and come back in. I totally and fully respect that. I see we got about 15 people watching. I'm one of them, so 14 people watching. So yeah, so I'm going to talk about this. And like I said, if you want to jump out, you don't want to see this or hear about it until you've watched the movie, by all means, go ahead and do that. The first thing they talk about, and I noticed some of these too, the first thing they talk about is Vince Neil's solo career. Now, they do cover at one point in time where Vince is fired from the band, and they get the timeline around that time all screwed up because they made it like Tommy never left, and they made it like Tommy never left, and that they touched on a scene where he was like doing hip hop DJ type stuff, but they never focused on the fact that Tommy left. It all was almost like Vince left, and then after they all kind of got right, they went back and got Vince. But Vince actually, and during that time they kind of focused on the fact that Vince's daughter was dying from cancer. They never really, and any other time they showed Vince, he was just in a bar growing a mustache and a beard and everything, looking real, you know, looking homeless and broken. They didn't even touch on the fact that Vince Neil did have a solo career. He did put out a pretty cool album, and I actually like some of the people that he had playing with him in his band. But yeah, they didn't even talk about that. They didn't talk about, and I don't think they're going to, I don't know if they mentioned it in this article, but they didn't touch on the sex tapes. They didn't touch on Vince Neil's sex tape. They didn't touch on Tommy Lee's sex tape. They didn't even touch on Pamela Anderson, period. It's like she never existed. If you'd have watched that movie and that's all you had to go on, you would have thought he was only married to Heather Locklear and split up from Heather Locklear. They never touched on anybody else after that. They didn't touch on the sex tape. And of course, everybody knows that he at one point in time was married to Pamela Anderson and, had made a sex tape with her. And, the sex tape came out. They didn't touch on the fact that Tommy Lee quit and went hip hop for a little while and DJing. They didn't touch on that fact at all. As a matter of fact, it was after Vince Neil came back, and in the movie they just, it was the three of them, and then they went and got Vince and they reunited, but that actually, didn't go that way. They didn't touch on the fact that Tommy left the band for a while and was replaced by two drummers, Randy Costello and It's All For You Demon said who it was earlier, Samantha somebody. If you guys will do me a favor, Bethany or somebody, will somebody type in the chat and let me make sure that my chat is working, because I don't even see any chats coming up. So I don't know if anybody's actually chatting. So if somebody will chat, I'm going to chat in. I'm going to say hi. And if somebody will say hey back, just let me know that chat's working, that I'm actually seeing you guys' chat. If you can do that, that would be great. Because otherwise, I can't tell if chat's working. And if not, I may have to go out and come back in. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything from anybody. So I'm going to leave and come back. Hold on just a second, guys. Let me go out of this. Let me come back into it. Okay. Yeah, wow. See, I wasn't seeing any of this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My chat was not working. So let me say, hey, good evening, everyone. Little Russian's back. Good to see you. Ronnie Parker, Bethany, George is here. Paul's here. Eddie Thompson's back. Mick is here. So it's good to see you guys. He had on an Iron Maiden t-shirt, Paul. Paul was being a douche that day. Not Paul Scott, but Paul Stanley. And, okay, so cool. All right, chat's working for me. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So back to this article here. So, Tommy Lee quit. They didn't touch on that. And they didn't touch on this. There's the sex tapes. They didn't touch on the sex tapes. And I don't know why. I mean, they like I said in my review, they really hit the peaks. They didn't dive down into the valleys too much. They really focused on, I said it earlier, a certain member, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now. They really focused on Nicky. They really seemed to go after his story. He's the one that they went all the way back to his childhood. Little kid brushing his teeth, getting beat by his stepdads. They really focused on him. The movie kind of seemed to gravitate around him, him starting the band and everything. But, I mean, it had to originate somewhere. But I did like that they did a little bit of backstory on everybody. They showed Tommy Lee and showed that he was a relatively normal kid. He grew up in a pretty loving household. He was in marching band. I like that they brought that out. I like that they brought out the fact that not only Vince Neil, but a lot of them had girlfriends that basically funded them and bought stuff for them. Vince talks about that his girlfriend bought him a pair of $100 pants or $800 pants. They had a bunch of girlfriends that funded them and fed them and stuff like that when they were in that roach-infested loft that they practiced in and everything. So it's almost like they used that one girlfriend to kind of personify all of them. But they really did touch on, Nicky a whole lot. But I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but my favorite character in the whole movie was Mick Mars. Mick Mars had the best one-liners. He just had the overall best attitude, and I really loved Mick Mars's character in the movie. And I see that, Tom. And yes, I was watching this, and it was really shocking to see a squirting scene within the first 5 minutes of the movie. And, you know, tits in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the movie. And tits and sex, a lot of tits and sex through it. You know, it was like I said, it was Motley Crue. They, you know, they're going to have that kind of stuff. So it was really cool. So yeah, they didn't mention the sex tapes. They did not mention Pamela Lee, you know, Pamela Anderson, period, really. Like I said, the only person, you know, they didn't mention any other wives. I mean, you know, they showed Tommy. Tommy got married. And, you know, they showed it. They showed that Vince had gotten married. They really didn't show about Nikki or about Mick or anything like that. Didn't even show anything like that. Didn't show the multiple wives. Those were just basically the representation of everything. And then they didn't touch on this either. They didn't touch on the Nikki Sixx imposter. Apparently, you know, we've all heard the story over and over and over that Nikki Sixx apparently had gotten really injured during the Shout at the Devil, and during the Shout at the Devil recording and tour, and was replaced. And it was basically, you know, it says here that he is in a car accident and had to be replaced. And so it's kind of a funny thing that they, you know, they didn't touch on this at all. You know, it's Matthew Tripp. You know, I don't know if you've heard about this story, but you should look it up. You know, and you know, how much weight is it? Whether it's true, I mean, you know, who knows? Like it says, you know, Nikki Sixx recalled in 2014, they compared our belly buttons. They were like, which belly button belonged to Nikki pre-1984? I mean, it was stupid. You know, they didn't touch on that. They didn't touch on all the other wives. Like I said earlier, they didn't touch on all the other women that the guys from the crew was married to. They just basically touched on Heather Locklear and touched on Charisse, or whatever her name is. Touched on her. But, you know, they had their fair share of wives. You know, like I said there, right there, Vince Neil married Beth Lynn, you know, and you know, and then he'd been dating you know, Heidi Mark. So, you know, they had other wives. They didn't really touch on that, but I think they didn't want to get bogged down with the whole wives thing. I think that they didn't want to get bogged down on it. I had a member one of my guys on, had somebody just tell me that they're having a hard time getting their chat to work. If you're having a hard time getting your chat to work, the thing to do, I guess, is to come out and come back in, because the same thing happened to me. I couldn't get my chat to work either. So you can come out and come back in. So yeah, they didn't touch on all the wives. I think they didn't want to get bogged down with all that. They just used it as a representation. I really was kind of disappointed that this was not a mini-series, that it was not 4 to 6 hour-long episodes or something like that, and they stretch it out, and not stretch it out, but actually include more, and it be a like a mini-series and a little more thorough. But still, you know, even if they did that, they still would have missed stuff. They still would have not had stuff in there. So there's really nothing that you can do about it. So that's just the way it is. So then they left out, they're still showing the wives, man. They're still showing the wives they left out. That's a long part, man. Them women like being married to them rock stars. They left out their reunion at the 1997 American Music Awards. They left that part out. They left out Tommy going to jail. They touched on Vince going to jail. That was a very pivotal part in the movie. And it really kind of shocked me the way they did the accident scene, where right after, we know that Razzle was killed instantly because he was hit head on his side of the car. But in the movie, and like I said, if you've not seen it, cover your ears, jump out or whatever. But in the movie, whenever Vince came to, he looked down and Razzle was talking to him, talking about how he sees stars and it's Christmas and what do you want for Christmas and stuff like that. And then when Vince finally comes to, when the paramedics come to the car, he looks down and Razzle's just dead. He's got blood all over him and everything, just laying in Vince's lap, dead. That was kind of startling a little bit, because I was sitting there going, wait, how is he talking to him? Is there something that I don't know? But that was just basically, I don't know if, that was just some kind of vision that Vince was having being in that state. But yeah, they say Vince went to jail for a little bit for that, paid out a lot of money in restitution. So they missed when Tommy didn't go to jail, or when Tommy went to jail. They didn't really talk about the back and forth relationship with MTV. They really didn't talk about MTV too much, other than showing MTV clips of talking about the band, I still remember that when people were talking about KISS with Motley Crue and their album being Shout at the Devil, and they're like, oh, they're satanic. And Motley Crue definitely pushed it. They had fucking pentagrams all over everything, and blood and skulls and everything. And they were playing it up. I don't think they were no more demonic than my old next door neighbor. I don't think they're no more demonic than that. And they didn't sell their soul to the devil no more than I did. It was just, it was a gimmick. It was them trying to emulate KISS and take it a step further, in my honest opinion. But they didn't really portray any kind of thing with MTV, other than the fact that they just showed MTV kind of moving the story along. Let's see, what else? The Moscow Music Peace Festival. They didn't do that. They didn't do the US Festival. They didn't show them playing at the US Festival. They basically, and I remember them playing, I remember the US Festival, or the US Festival. I remember Motley Crue playing on that. And you can see that stuff on YouTube if you look. And I remember they were playing their songs shit fast. I mean, they were playing them fast. Then they, it's like they were trying to get through their set, or they were coked up or something. But they were just playing them really fast. But I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that on television, and then seeing all the articles in the magazine. And that is when Motley Crue kind of just really started breaking. And that's when you started hearing everybody going, "Oh wow, have you heard Motley Crue?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been listening to them for months." I think I'm seeing questions, and I'll ask those questions in just a little bit. But yeah, they cut out, they didn't show the Moscow Music Peace Festival. They didn't show the US Festival either. And those were very early on. I was talking about this earlier. They didn't show the other band members. Randy Costello, even though they showed John Corabi, very short. He was basically just in there for, we have a new singer. They had an MTV interview and showing, and I remember that interview. And then they had a part, and there was two parts in this movie that really broke my heart. And I'm not usually, I am kind of a softie in a lot of ways, but when Vince's daughter passed away, when his daughter died, that was sad, especially when his daughter was saying, don't let him cut on me anymore, and she was crying. And I was like, oh, bless her heart. I was tearing up too, because that was kind of touching. And when what a part that made me go, oh, for the band, and I felt so bad for him, is that scene when they have John Corabi, or however you say his name, and they peek through the curtain and the seats are almost empty. You know, there's the sign there that held by the two girls that says "Bring Vince back," and they're looking out, and Mick's just kind of looking disappointed. And you see these looks on their faces, and then they finally pull the curtain and they go walking out to, you know, not yells and cheers, but just, and you see this nervous smile on the face of John, and I'm just like, you know, he just didn't get a fair shake. You know, he didn't get a fair shake in the band. You know, and I kind of felt bad for Motley Crue at that point in time. You know, the fans abandoned them. You know, they moved on to different things. I was one of them. I abandoned them after Dr. Feelgood, and after Vince left the band and everything. I was like, well, that's the end of Motley Crue. You know, and I've not actually heard that album. I've told a lot of people are telling me it's really awesome, and so I'm going to have to check it out. I'm definitely going to be checking it out this week. And maybe in one of my upcoming videos, you'll hear me talk about it. But I still have to review the albums behind me. I still have to review Shout at the Devil. But I'm not going to, and I'm going to eventually review, I'm not going to review Theater of Pain or Girls, Girls, Girls. But I am going to review, at least not yet. I'm going to retrospect and review Shout at the Devil and Theater and Dr. Feelgood. And I may give a review on the, I know I'm probably going to end up doing Saints of Los Angeles and Generation Swine. So, hell, I may just end up doing them all. If you want me to do them all, put it down in the comments. I'll do them all. But I'll do them in order if you want me to. So, in addition to doing KISS videos, which I've got 5 KISS albums to do, and then I've got the solo albums to do. I'm going to get through them this year. 2019 is going to be a busy year, guys. Grunge was the reason Crue lost support, in my opinion. I've heard that, Paul, and me and a friend of mine, we were having a back and forth discussion about this. That grunge in Seattle was what killed, you know, hair metal or metal. And I don't know if I entirely agree with that. I think it had an influence on it, especially because the record companies all wanted to sign bands like this. But you have to remember that by the late 80s came along, there was some good rock and roll that came out in the early 90s. Because I was going to do them as part of my 80s retrospect. And then I was like, crap, I can't do this. That came out in the 90s. So I had to peel them off. So there's some good stuff that came out that remained metal. What killed Motley Crue, I think, was Vince leaving. Excuse me. And that's a tough, I mean, there are 4 iconic guys, and that's a tough person to lose. It's hard to lose your front man and survive. Other bands did it. They actually mentioned in, you know, whenever they were talking about replacing Vince Neil, Tommy kept bringing up Van Halen did it, and Van Halen lost a lot of their original fans whenever they replaced David Lee Roth with Sammy Hagar, and they gained a whole bunch of new fans. Motley Crue, they lost a lot of fans, but they didn't gain a bunch of new fans till later on after Vince came back. They gained their old fans back, and they gained new fans. Because Motley Crue, it's one of those bands where Motley Crue is those 4 guys. And so, but I think the biggest factor that killed metal was the fact that the bands that had been there since the beginning were starting to make some pretty shitty albums. And they weren't that good. I mean, look at Rat. I mean, look at Reach for the Sky and Detonator. Those are not good albums. They've got some good songs on them, but they're not good albums. It is not Out of the Cellar. It is not Invasion of Your Privacy. They were not Dancing Undercover. Reach for the Sky and Detonator were horrible albums. L.A. Guns made a couple good albums. And then Hollywood Vampires came. And then they just, you know, Hollywood Vampires, they totally did a left turn, like a 180 on people. And I like it, but a lot of people didn't. You had bands that came out like Love Hate. They made an awesome first album. Their second album, not so much. And then you had bands that just been there in the beginning. But then you had the copies of the copies of the copies. And the market was just so bloated with all these bands that the record companies had signed. The same thing happened to the Seattle movement when bands like Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and stuff like that hit. They were the forefront of the grunge movement, the Seattle movement, that type of movement. And then every record label started signing everybody else that was just like them or wanted to be like them or whatever. And that kind of killed the grunge movement and turned it into the modern rock that we still seem to have. And I was going down the road. I know that I'm getting off on a big tangent here. Yeah, Trickster, dude. Bands like Trickster. Exactly. You know, I could sit here and I could name all the B class and the C class and the D class metal and even the F class, the bands that just were just not fucking good. They should have never had an album, a record deal. But that record company signed them just in order to maybe possibly cash in. But a lot of them lost support from their label when the label started pushing the grunge era and stuff. So that did happen. So it was like a two-part thing. If the music would have still been good enough and the bands would have still been making fucking good music and the people were buying it, the record company would still continue to support them. So it's just how it is. It's music business. If you're not making that record company music, you better be trying to make your albums and put your albums out on your own. And, you know, because otherwise you're not going to have a record deal very long. And I've heard that. Somebody said, Tom says, I love what Motley Crue did with JC. I've heard that a lot, and I'm going to have to dig into this album. I heard it was really heavy, and honestly, I've never heard it. I may have heard a song off of it or two, but I've never heard this album. I've never tried to listen to it. So let me check some comments here. Rat and Roll, yeah, man. Let's see, God Almighty, you are talking a lot. Little Russian says, I don't have volume. Does everybody else have volume? Apparently you do. Little Russian, if you don't have, you might have to get out and come back in. Kiss needs to do a biopic, definitely. I'm actually going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Grunge, let's see. 7th thumbs up from me. I love the Motley Crue album with John Corabi. Do 'em all. Somebody says do 'em all. Brother Kane was a good band. LA scene was not being played on the radio. Seattle stuff in the Pacific Northwest. Yep. Hey in my head from Kiss Army Rocks. Hey dude. Let's see. Trickster sucks. Baton Rouge fits that B list. Yeah, bands like London Choir Boys, you know, Black and Blue. I mean, bands that, I'm not saying they didn't have good songs, but, you know, there's bands out there. Electric Angels. I love Electric Angels. I love some of their songs, but they're a B or C class band, you know. Let's see. Bethany, see you a lot. Let's see. Perpetual Art. Hey, Perpetual Art. Good to see you. Let's see. I do now. Okay, good, good, good. I'll take Soundgarden over all those crappy bands. My actual favorite grunge band, if you want to call them that, is Alice in Chains. I like all incarnations of Alice in Chains. I like the Lane Staley incarnation, and I like all incarnations that came after. And I like Jerry Cantrell as a solo artist. His album Boggy Depot, although it's a lot different from anything you've ever heard him do in Alice in Chains, it's still a fucking amazing album. And I would take Alice in Chains over anybody from the Seattle movement just because I love the way their music sounds. I love the crazy fucked up shit that they do. And, you know, but I would probably take, if I didn't have Alice in Chains, I would probably take Soundgarden. Because, I mean, they're a great band too. But anyway, I digress. So let's get back to this article. So yeah, you see that Tommy Lee got replaced by 2 drummers, Randy Costello, and then what was this chick's name? I can't remember her name. The other band members, I can't remember what her name was. Somebody told me earlier. Randy Costello, and then what is her name? We said it earlier. There she is. Whole drummer Samantha Maloney. There's who it is. Samantha Maloney. So yeah, so 2 drummers, and I'm seeing questions down here, and I'll try to read back through them later. So then, getting through the rest of this article, I think that's it. I think that's all of it. We reached the end of the internet, people. Yeah, so that was it. I think. Yep, that's it. So we hit the internet. End of the internet. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is this article right here. This bullshit article right here. And I want to know what you guys. I'm waiting on stuff to catch up. And I want to know what you guys think about this bullshit article right here. Extreme, I like Extreme too. Their first album is amazing. Their first album is really good. Pornography, I believe. That may be Extreme too. That may not be their first album. Hell, I don't know. I'm not an Extreme fan, but I love that album. Twisted Sister was good. Yep. I'll be reviewing their album sooner or later. Degradation Trip's good. Yep. They'll Put Dinosaurs Here's good. Yeah. Gary Sharon is an excellent. And what's his name? What's the guitarist's name for them? I'll tell you another good band that didn't get a fair shake. White Line. White Line, their first album, and their second album are both really good. And Nuno, is that his name? Nuno Betancourt or whatever. That's just they're really good. Yeah, Nuno Betancourt. Yeah, they're really good. Is that? Remember Winger? Oh God, I try to forget. Yeah, the Pornography was the second. Thanks, Steve. Let's see. My son says saw a sealed 180 gram of Dr. Feelgood at the store. Skipped on it because I didn't know how I feel about Crue. Yeah, that's okay, Steven. I'm glad you got me what you got me today. Steven was out record. Steven's my son, y'all. Say hello to Steven. He is my son. You've seen him in videos with me. He's reviewed a bunch of videos with me. So anyway, we're going to talk about this article right here because this is the kind of article and this is the kind of shit right here from KISS and from Paul Stanley in particular. Even though I love Paul, I love KISS. I hate it whenever I talk about KISS or I'm critical of Paul. All the sheep are like, you're not a KISS fan. You need to shut the hell up and get a job and get a wife and have, get a life and get out of your mom's basement. And, I have all that. Well, I don't even have a basement. And my mom's dead. So, screw y'all. But this is the kind of stuff from Paul Stanley that pisses me off. And he says here on the Star Child persona, whether it's on my face or in my blood, it's always there. And, okay. All right, Paul. But basically it says that if you go down through here, and let me find where it says it. We don't want to go out with a whimper. We're going to go out with a bang. And that's what, it's the same things they've been saying. You behave differently in different situations. When I'm at dinner, I don't stand on the table and yell for, hey, people, to pass the salt. While I'm in the arena, it's a different situation. But I'm never wearing the disguise. This is never a masquerade. It's so much a part of me that whether it's on my face or in my blood, it's always there. So whether I put it on again or not, it's a part of me. The tattoo is on the inside also. He's talking about his rose tattoo, I guess. Stanley, when pressed to offer up his favorite KISS song, he would have to say either Love Gun or Detroit Rock City. I'm so sick of Love Gun. I love Detroit Rock City, though. Just because they embody the personality attitude of the band. And I disagree there. I mean, I think Detroit Rock City is one of the iconic KISS songs. So, yeah, he kicked off, although I'm not sure the song will always come to mind. The first others is Rock and Roll All Night. He says Rock and Roll All Night is KISS kicked off in the road tour in late January. The first leg of the global trek, which could last 3 years, wraps on April 13th in Birmingham, Indiana. And I like the touring lineup features the current version of the band. The band is Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer are employees, guys. Don't let them fool you. But yeah, this is just more of Paul Stanley press, basically saying it's just more Paul Stanley press. And I don't really know how to take it, but I just think it is just it's just a piece of crap thing to say. And hold on a second, I got to return a text here. Sorry, people. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really talked too much about what I do for a living, but I do kind of a pretty intense job for a living. I work in IT, and the specific part of IT I work in is kind of intense. And it pretty much puts me on call 24/7. I'm only specifically on call 1 week every 5 weeks, but I'm pretty much on call all the time. It's a pain in the butt sometimes, and it actually sometimes it actually happens, you know. So, what do you guys think about this article? I'm looking down here through the comments and everything. John Edwards made it to the chat. Good to see John D. Anderson. Let's see. Vito Bratta. That's right, Vito Bratta. Nuno Betancourt was in Extreme. Vito Bratta, who's a hermit now, I believe. But I saw White Line when they were in a club opening for Frehley's Comet. And they were supporting their first album. And they were phenomenal. The lead singer, Mike Tramp, stepped on my hand during the song Lady of the Valley. I was right there in front, and he stepped on my hand. And then when Vito went into a solo, because it was right as he was saying that part where he says, I brought my fallen brother and I laid him, yes, I laid him at your feet. And then it goes into the solo from there. He stepped on my hand pretty hard, and he had on like these boots. And he actually even took the time to stop and lean down like really close to my face and ask me if I was okay, if my hand was okay, which I thought was really cool. Really cool to do. So let's see. You don't think Kiss is, David says you don't think Kiss is calling it quits. They're coming back without the makeup. Well, they didn't sign a contract like Motley did. So, you know, who knows? I think sooner or later, guys, honestly, a lot of people don't agree with me. I think sooner or later Peter and Ace and Bruce are going to show up. I think sooner or later they're going to show up. They may not be there in a huge capacity. They're not going to replace Eric and Tommy and the band. That's probably contractual type stuff. But sooner or later, Ace and Peter are going to be back. They will be back. Mark my words. Sooner or later, they'll be back. Sorry. Your audio's still working. Okay. So, next thing I'm going to talk about here is this. And this is the article that probably pisses me off the most. Yeah, and I saw what you said there, Little Russian. Yeah, you know, Ace has said some stuff about Gene, and Gene has said some stuff about Ace, but and they've flung some pretty nasty shit at each other. But I'm telling you right now, at the end of the day, it ain't going to make any difference, because these guys, back when they were split up, you know, an article like this is exactly what I'm talking about. They've been saying this shit. Paul and Gene have been saying this shit forever. Ever since Ace left the band. And I love this right here. Kiss's Gene Simmons reveals the real reason Ace Frehley got fired. And I'm going to tell you right now, Gene, I love you, man, but you're wrong. Ace has never been fired from Kiss. He has quit. Peter has been fired 2 times. You know, he was fired shortly before he was fired back when the Unmasked album came out. He never played on the Unmasked. He only played one song on Dynasty, and he was fired at the end of towards the end of the reunion tour. Ace has never been fired. He has quit. And these articles like this are the ones that piss me off. That, oh, this is the real reason Ace got fired. And you know what he's going to say. He says, where does he say? He discussed the various ins and outs of members like Ace Frehley, Bruce Kulick, and Vinnie Vincent. Your relationship with Paul Stanley goes back half a century. I've known him for longer than anyone other than my mother. And he basically talks about, what would have happened if if he'd not had met Paul. And then he brings up and he says, you bring up chemistry. It's no secret fans are hoping to see the original lineup with Ace and Peter reunite somewhere on this tour. And he says, well, let me address that. In life, Mother Nature is non-judgmental. Whether you're a baby and have never experienced life, or whether you're old and gray and have gone through trials and tribulations, both of you, when you put your hand into the fire, get burned equally. So life doesn't give you 3 chances. You got 1 chance. But Ace and Peter have gotten 3 chances. They were in and out of the band, fired 3 times for drugs, alcohol, bad behavior, being unprofessional. All the cliches are cliches. Even suicide is overrated. It's been done many times. So the only reason Ace and Peter were let go the first time, and then the second time, and then the third time is because they were not carrying their load. You can't be in a car with 2 flat tires. It's not going to go anywhere. It's your responsibility to change the fucking tires so that the whole car doesn't stop. It's nothing personal, because remember, being a band is a gift. You hardly work physically. So anyway, the short answer is we'd love to see Ace and Peter join us here and there, but if they don't, it's not going to be because of us. But they're never going to be in KISS again. Now, let me address this. 1, he's wrong. Ace was not fired. Peter was fired. You cannot lump the 2 of them together that way. Ace is saying that he's not going to rejoin KISS unless he regains his throne, and Ace just needs to go away with that. I don't think Ace needs to rejoin KISS. He doesn't need to sideline his solo career. And Paul and Gene can talk down to him and talk all the shit about him that they want, saying, oh, he's selling out clubs and we're selling out arenas. Yeah, asshole, you're selling out arenas with his makeup, with Peter's makeup. If they were doing these tours without makeup, playing the same exact songs, and coming out there in street clothes, they always brag about they wear 40 pounds of gear. And I saw something where Gene was saying, my boots weigh as much as bowling balls. I don't believe that for a minute. I do not believe that Gene's boots weighs anywhere. The average weight of a bowling ball is between 12 to 16 pounds. I do not believe that Gene's is out there in 12 to 16 pounds boots. And I don't believe the gear can weigh 40 pounds, but if you take off all your clothes at the end of the day, like if you have jeans on and a heavy coat and all that stuff, and you take all that stuff off and put it on a scale, at the end of the day, you're going to be pushing about 20 pounds. So really, it's harder to carry a 50-pound bag of something like this, but if you distribute it across your body, it's not as heavy. So I get tired of seeing that oh, we put on better shows than anybody else put on. Look at Motley Crue's farewell tour show, and I know they rip KISS off a lot, but they're not the only one putting on the kind of shows that they put on anymore. I said that in one of my end of the road videos that I made about what it would take for me to go see KISS. They need to get over that they're not the do-all be-all anymore. They're influential and everything, but right now they're just basically they're half a cover band. And I know these guys have been in the band for years, but they're not in the band now playing the songs that they originally played. They're in the band playing the songs that the guys before them played. A lot of them. They do songs from the later albums. They do Say Yeah off of Sonic Boom and stuff like that. But the only 2 albums that this incarnation of band has been in to make that they can call theirs is Sonic Boom and Monster. And the tour consists of a lot more songs than Sonic Boom and Monster. So these guys are basically, half the members of this band are just cosplaying, dressing up, getting paid to do a job, and they're not part of KISS. KISS is Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. It's not the four of them. They're getting paid to be in the band. So it really, statements like that and Gene saying stuff like that really bothers me. But it's one of those things that I love KISS so much that it's one of those things that it bothers me as much as it does. And I get sometimes really tired of the comments that come in saying, oh, you're not a KISS fan. Find something else to do. Go see them or shut up. If you don't like them, don't listen to them. Listen, you can't fucking tell me what to do, you know. And if you don't like what I say, you don't have to watch. Or, you know, you don't have to watch the videos. You don't have to come to the live streams. But what I'm saying is me as a fan, I'm not a sheep. So I'm not going to have a sheep mentality. And I'm not a casual fan. This is a band that I've loved since I was 7 years old. So I have, you know, 43 years, almost 43 years vested interest in this band. And I've followed them somewhat throughout their whole career. And I've self-admittedly that I got kind of a little lean on them through the 80s. Because in my opinion, the music they was putting out sucked, you know. But then whenever they started coming back, they come back with Monster, and when they come back with Carnival of Souls, two great fucking albums. And about the time that they're starting to look like a legitimate band and starting to sound like a legitimate band and look like they got some cred going to them, KISS, Ace and Peter comes back for the reunion. They do Unplugged. They do the reunion. After the reunion tour was over, in my opinion, they should have brought Bruce Kulick back, done everything they could to get him back, because he's hands down a better guitar player and a better songwriter than Tommy Thayer. They should have brought Bruce back, kept Eric in the band, because I think Eric is a freaking phenomenal drummer. The things that Gene, Paul, Eric Singer, and Bruce Kulick did on albums like Monster and on albums like Carnival of Souls kick ass. And that's the direction that they needed to go in. They needed to keep the makeup off. When the original members left the band again, that's why they put the makeup back on, because the original members came back. When the original members left, they shouldn't have hired Tommy and just stuck him in his place, because that kind of happened during the whole part of the end of the reunion tour, and Ace left. And then, you know, Peter left, and they stuck Eric in the makeup, and Ace played with, Peter played with Eric for a little while. But whenever they were done with that reunion stuff, when they were done with Symphony, when they were done with the reunion, the makeup should have came off. They should have went back to the incarnation that they had, and they should have kept building that momentum. And I would have liked to have seen that. That is what I would like to have seen. That is the band that I would go see. Like I said, am I going to go see KISS yet? The only reason that I may go see KISS is to take my son Steven, because he's never seen them, and I do want him to be able to experience the show more than anything. Because I do think the show and the stage and stuff like that's kind of cool. Even though it's for the most part it's a big empty stage, the stuff that they have going on around it is kind of cool. But that'd be the only way I go. Sorry. So anyway, I'm done with these articles. So let me skip over to something else here, and we're going to talk about something else for a second. So, one of you mentioned about what I thought about oh yeah, if I said something about Monster, yeah, Revenge is what I meant. So we were talking about earlier. We were talking about the Motley Crue biopic, and then we talked about the. Somebody asked, would KISS do KISS should do a biopic? I totally agree. I don't know exactly how it would be done, but I think that KISS has enough history, they have enough controversy, that honestly I think that they should do one. And so what I want to talk about is I want some input on what you guys think about a biopic with Motley Crue, with KISS. Do you think it's a good or bad idea? And you can chat it down in the thing. You can think it's a good or bad idea, that it should be done. And how would you like to see it done? Would you like to see it to be a movie that comes out like Bohemian Rhapsody did, or would you like for it to see would you like for it to be like what Motley Crue did with Netflix, or would you like for it to still be on Netflix but it to be like a mini series? See, with Motley Crue, I would have liked for it to be more like a mini series, and for it to be 4 to 6 episodes. I really think hour-long episodes. That's what I really think would have been cool. And who do you think would be good people to play people? Like, who would play Paul? Who would play Gene? Who would play Ace? Who would play Peter? I have no idea about who I think should play Ace or who should play Peter. I really don't know. I have a couple ideas for... I think the obvious choice, to me at least, to play Gene would be Nick Simmons, because he looks just like him in a lot of ways. He looks very much like him. He has a lot of his features. And when it comes to Paul, I think Stanley. Evan has a lot of Paul's features. He has his chin, he has his nose, he has his eyes, and right, a lot of the photos you see, he's got curly hair and stuff. But they'd put a wig on him. But both of those guys are about the age where they could make them look younger, and they could make them, they might have a harder time making them look older. But that's just it. Exactly the next question, and I'm going to read answers down here so you can chat in whatever you want. I encourage you to chat. I know I've been talking a lot. Even the Fonz pointed it out, and I'm almost honored that the Fonz is here, because he gives me a lot of shit. But I love constructive criticism, and I do take it into account when somebody constructively criticizes and gives me a comment. I do take it into consideration. And I'm sorry I've been kind of but I've just been basically talking about these articles. But I want you guys to chat in. What do you think about what kind of biopic it should be? Who do you think would be a good people to play some of the things? And what time would you have it in capsule? Would you have it start with Gene and Paul forming the band? Maybe dabble a little bit in not too much in their childhood, but maybe start off with Gene and Paul leaving Wicked Lester and forming the band getting Peter in the band, and then adding Ace, kind of like they did in the biopic. It was started off for Motley Crue. It started off with Nicky, and then Tommy joined, and then they got Mick, and they had that one guy that he didn't even make it past the audition. Then they got Mick, and then they went out and they found their lead singer. KISS kind of formed in that way too. It was 2 guys, and then it was a 3rd guy, and then it was a trio for a little while, and then they added Ace. So where would you start from, and how far would you go? How far into would you just go to the original 4 members of the band, and when Peter left and when Ace left? I mean, that's ending on kind of a low note. Would you kind of skip through the trials and tribulations of, Vinnie Vincent, Mark St. John, Eric Carr. You'd have to have some kind of representation of Eric Carr. The fans would be pissed. You'd have to have Eric Carr in there. Do you put in Bruce Kulick? Do you have him in there too? Do you have, do you not even have, when they do the reunion, do you not even have Eric? Because Eric was Eric was in the band, but do you not even have Tommy? I guess the only person that get screwed was Tommy, because Eric was in the band. Eric Singer was in the band too when Eric passed away. So, I mean, who knows, how far would you go? When Peter leaves, Ace leaves, would you have other band areas? Would you end with the reunion tour? The movie would be extremely long with less detail the longer you cover. Kind of like Motley Crue, with theirs. To me, I would keep it in the scope of the original band. But like I said, somebody'd get pissed because you wouldn't have Eric and you wouldn't have stuff like that. And plus, if you ended it with the original band being over, you'd end on a low note. So I would maybe take it through when they reunited and, they came back to each other and found each other during the Unplugged. And then you end the movie with them starting the reunion tour. And they, where they play Dodger Stadium or wherever. You end it with Dodger Stadium or something. And you end the show with that. I don't know. Let's see. Let me read up on some text here. Some people says, reading back, never be the truth because Paul and Gene are liars. Bethany says it'd be good if it was through a live too. Yeah, they did start getting kind of fragmented there and everything. Honestly say, D. Anderson says, I've never listened to Psycho Circus or Monster. Psycho Circus is really good. It's got its good points. I've reviewed it. Monster I've not reviewed it yet, but it's got its good point too. Ace was a functional alcoholic. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of functional people addicted to things out there going through life every day. Most rock stars are functional from some kind of abuse. You like Ace? Kiss Army Rock says like Ace's new solo album. Dude, it'd be holograms, robots, or CG. Ezra Miller would be great as Ace. That's a cool suggestion. Spiro Papadakis to play Gene. I don't know who that is. I'll have to look that up. The Fonz, it's all good. I love me some Fonz, man. Hey, I like the Fonz. I see you in all my comments and everything, and I like you, man. Spyro would be perfect as a musician, singer, not only an actor. I don't like actors playing rock stars. Just seems wrong. Did you watch 80s Kiss show? I don't know what you mean by that, Kiss Army Rocks. The non-makeup era would be entertaining TV. Lots of drama. Hell yeah, it would be, Paul. From childhood to all four with the 96 reunion. That's, each era covered. 2 minutes per era. I thought you said 2 minutes per era there for a second. I think you're right. It would have to be a mini-series. You're talking about a lot of different members. No way it could be covered in a 2-hour movie. I agree. And like I said, in the Motley movie, they only covered John Corabi, and I feel like I'm saying his name. My tongue's rolling in my mouth when I say it. But they only covered him in a very short amount of time, and they didn't even touch on any of the other people that had been in the band. The movie should start in their early backgrounds, a scene with Gene as a child on his balcony, and Mom screaming while his dad bombs were going on. That would be an awesome way to start. Steve, that's one thing. I love people sharing their honesty. I love people sharing their opinion. I have people telling me I suck and stuff like that. But, and Bethany, the whole Kiss story is nothing but a soap opera. You're damn right. Paul with domestic abuse at home. Ace and Peter with their gang backgrounds. Ace meeting Hendrix. Yeah, man. Like I said, KISS has such a, KISS is like, they're like a part of my family. They're a very dysfunctional part of my family. But even when you have family members and they're dysfunctional, you still love them. You can have a brother that pisses you off, but at the end of the day, you still love him and you're there for him. You may not talk to him for a little while, or you may distance yourself from him if he's caustic to you or whatever. You distance yourself from him, but at the end of the day, he's still your brother. And so and that's how KISS is to me. I talk shit about them, and I get on the internet and talk shit about them. And I get the people, oh, you're not a fan because you're talking crap about them. No, I'm a fan, and I care enough about them to put as much as I do into making videos for them. So I do care about them a great deal. I am going to check comments here for a second. So, all right. I was just trying to get caught up because, like I said, I feel like I was running really far behind on some chats, and I don't want anybody to be left out. So, Gina and Paul would change the story to fit their narrative. I kind of agree with that. Unless all four members were involved, like Motley Crue, but Motley Crue is still... I don't know how equal of a partnership Motley Crue is. I don't know that. But if there was to be a biopic and Ace and Peter had input on it, I don't know if it would suit if the narrative, or if Ace and Peter would get a fair shake out of it. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see one, because I don't know if they would totally twist it. D. Anderson, my first KISS concert was Creatures in Birmingham. Night Ranger was opening band. I think I saw the Creatures tour and Night Ranger opening for them. I think I remember. It would have been in Charlotte or around my area. But I actually got my ticket autographed by Bad Gillis. That's awesome. Duda says Bohemian Rhapsody, KISS will probably hop on the bandwagon and do a similar movie. I think they may, but it's not going to come till after this tour. They're not going to get involved in that. They're not going to stretch themselves that thin. They won't be able to do it. It's really surprised me seeing Paul working on his Soul Station, or working on an album with Soul Station during the tour. If you follow him on Instagram, you see that he pops in and does recording vocals and stuff for Soul Station quite a bit. And it really has surprised me that he's doing that. But, you never know. But I think it'd probably be something they would wait until after the tour's over. Ryan's Gaming Channel, next weekend you get to see KISS. That's awesome. That's awesome. The closest they're coming around here, they're coming to Raleigh, which is about 5 hours away, and they're coming to Charlotte, which is about a little under 2 hours away. And I'm probably going to go see them in Charlotte and take my son. I don't know if he's still in here. He was in here earlier, Steven. We're probably going to go, and I think our date is August the 10th. I've not bought my tickets yet, and I'm not going to try to get great seats. The reason why they're coming to us is because the amphitheater they're coming to in our area is outdoors, and part of it is covered, but there's a large part of it that's uncovered that has seats, and then there's the very back part of it that is the lawn seating, and we're going to get that. I think the tickets in that area are going for about $50. And once you get to the point where you're sitting in a seat, that ticket more than doubles. It goes up to 120, 140, something like that. And then as you move forward, they go up to 600, 800, 1,000. Once you get down towards the front and center, they're like 1,200, 1,600. They're ridiculous. Some of them still available, but I'm just going to we're going to sit far back where we can see the stage and we can see the pyro and see all the effects and everything, and just enjoy that, just soak in that experience as a father and then a son. We're looking forward to that, to doing that. So earlier, if you watched my stream earlier, we talked about a few things, and I didn't want to really repeat what we was talking about, but we talked about some things. Now let me look at my sheet here to see. Sorry, guys. Okay. Earlier we talked about the best of the first 3 Kiss albums, which ones we like the best. And if you was here earlier, you can chime in. If you're not here, if you wasn't here earlier, you can chime in. We're talking about the first 3 Kiss albums being Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, and Dressed to Kill. And after discussing each album, I chimed in and said that my favorite one was Dressed to Kill, just because of the way it sounds, and the songs that's on it and things like that. Some people talked about the first album being their favorite because it was having the most iconic and essential songs on it. And some people talked about how Hotter Than Hell was their favorite because it was heavier. It had the heaviest sound, the darkest sound. And I do agree with that too. It's a muddy, dark, heavy sound. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, we're going to discuss amongst ourselves in chat, is I want to find out of the second 3 Kiss albums, After Alive, which one is your favorite? And this is where I've found a lot of people's favorite albums fall in these 3. Just because I think it's when people started coming along. Oh, good God. This is all of my copies of the first of those 3 albums. But we're talking about Destroyer, and we're talking about Rock and Roll All Over, and we're talking about Love Gun. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 copies of Destroyer, and 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Rock and Roll Over, and 1, 2, 3 copies of Love Gun. Some of these are originals. Some of them are some of them are originals. Some of them are reissues, like the multicolored reissues, and some of them are the 2014 reissues. So if we start talking about these next 3 albums, who in the chat is your favorite album of the first of these next 3 albums is Destroyer? If Destroyer is your favorite album, just chat it in there that Destroyer is your favorite album. So George says he likes Rock and Roll Over the best. Destroyer from Ryan. Bethany says Destroyer is my favorite for sentimental reasons, but it's not the best of the next 3. And it's got Beth on it, doesn't it, Bethany? So we got Destroyer, and Rock and Roll Over. Whose is this one? Favorite album. I hear a lot of people love Rock and Roll Over, and it's their favorite Kiss album. I mean, you know, when it comes to Destroyer, I mean, you've got Detroit Rock City, which is my favorite Kiss song. King of the Nighttime World is a great song. God of Thunder is a great song. I like the Paul version, the demo version of God of Thunder, the better than Gene's version. Great Expectations, a lot of people don't like it. Flaming Youth, I like Flaming Youth. I think this album should have been called Flaming Youth. Because, you know, Gene actually looks like he's on fire, you know. And there's a bunch of fire and stuff. So I think this song should have been called, I think this album should have been called Flaming Youth and not Destroyer. Sweet Pain. Sweet Pain's a BDSM song. You know, it's about Gene being in leather and, you know, teaching his girl to love a different way and love his sweet pain. You know, it's like 50 Shades of Grey, the 70s version. Shout It Out Loud is, I actually like Shout It Out Loud better than I like Rock and Roll All Night. Beth, I respect Beth for what it is and what it did for KISS, but it's not really one of my favorite KISS songs. And then Do You Love Me? I love Do You Love Me. I think it's a great song. But it's not, Destroyer is not my favorite of the three. And then Rock and Roll Over. Let me find one that don't have stuff in the back of it. Rock and Roll Over. We have See You in Your Dreams. We have, we have Love 'Em and Leave 'Em. And Love 'Em and Leave 'Em is okay. Hard Luck Woman is good. It was written for Rod Stewart. He wanted to give that song to Rod Stewart, and Peter ended up singing it. Making Love is a badass song. I love Making Love. That's a great song. I Want You's Take Me's a good song. I Want You's a good song. Calling Dr. Love is, you know, it's okay. I like the Live 2 version better. Baby Driver's a good song on this album. Peter, that's a good song from Peter. Ladies Room is okay. Ladies Room, I like it better on the Live 2. And Mr. Speed. Mr. Speed is the KISS song that should be a classic. It should be played live, and it never really has been. And Mr. Speed is, in my opinion, one of the best KISS songs. One of Paul Stanley's better songs. I love Mr. Speed. But Rock and Roll Over is not my favorite of the three albums. So by proxy or by process of elimination, you know which one is. Love Gun. I love the cover of Love Gun. It's just amazing. But I'm not a fan of the song Love Gun. So overplayed. I think it's been played at every fucking KISS show that has ever been created. And I know it's one of Paul Stanley's favorite songs. And he feels like it embodies KISS. And I don't get it. Got Love for Sale is a good song. I love the way it, you know, it's a song I would have liked to have heard played live on KISS Alive 2. If they had not done the 5 studio tracks. But I'm glad they did the studio tracks because I got Rocket Ride out of it. And Larger Than Life, which I'm a big fan of. Got Love for Sale is good. Tomorrow and Tonight is good. Christine 16 I like. Almost Human. A lot of people love I'm Almost Human. I have a hard time getting into it. Plaster Caster is okay. Shock Me is one of my favorite. It's probably my second favorite KISS song of all time. I love Shock Me. I love this version. I love the Alive 2 version better. Then She Kissed Me. I hate it. I can't stand it. I Stole Your Love is an amazing song. And Hooligan is another really solid song from Peter off this album. And this is, Love Gun is my favorite album of the three albums after Alive. So, let me catch up on the chat. Because I can't chat and talk at the same time. So let me catch up. Wow. Awesome, guys. Rock and Roll Over, Rock and Roll Over. Those three are my faves. Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun. Rock and Roll Over, Destroyer, Destroyer. Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over. Rock and Roll Over. A lot of people like Rock and Roll Over. Destroyer and Love Gun. Sweet Pain played on KISS Cruise. Love Sweet Pain. Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun are my favorites. Destroyer is a fair record of great songs. Can't figure it out. Baby Driver. Rock and Roll Over. Let's see. Do you like the song Domino? Little Russian. Yes, I do. I'm a really big fan of the Revenge album. Mr. Speed rules. Take Me rules. Mr. Speed's great. Mr. Speed, awesome song. Yeah, and Love Gun shirt, kind of unintentional. Love Gun's great, except for Christine 16. Mr. Speed, an attempt a la Leonard Skinner. Love Gun album is awesome. I Stole Your Love is my favorite. My favorite Love Gun song is Shock Me. My favorite song on the Love Gun album is Shock Me also. And awesome. I love the interaction from you guys. I'm sorry if I'm getting quiet. Your audio is working. Okay, and I'm sorry if I'm really sorry if you guys. I hope that's not annoying you, because I know it annoyed the shit out of me. But in a way, sometimes I just can't help it. So awesome. I appreciate the interaction. We earlier today we did a video. We are in the live stream. You definitely want to check it out. The first one we did, we talked about if KISS would have made a 1978 solo album if they would have made a 1978 solo album using the solo album songs, 10 songs, what would it have looked like? And for those of you who wasn't here earlier, I kind of went in detail about it. But I made two lists. What I essentially did was I made an album from the solo albums if KISS had the same politics that they had in 1978. There was a lot of politics going on inside the band that actually prompted the solo albums to even be made. There was a lot of egos in the band. Peter was looking to leave KISS. Ace was kind of looking to leave KISS, and they were starting to get tired of being pushed around by Gene and Paul taking the reins and taking over, and so that's why the solo albums came about. It also helped them fulfill their contract, because they had, for each 2 albums that they did, they got credit for 1 album. So whenever they put the solo albums out, they got credited by Casablanca as 2 album releases, and that's in a contract. I read about, found that online somewhere. I read that. So what I did, if you take in account the egos and everything that was going on during that time, this is the album I think you would have had. You would have had track 1 with Tonight You Belong to Me. Then track 2 would have been Radioactive. Track 3 would have been New York Groove. Track 4 would have been Move On. And track 5 would have been your Peter song. It would have been Hooked on Rock and Roll, I feel like. It's not the best song off of his album, but it has that weirdness that Peter's song has a tendency to have, like with Baby Driver, Hooligan, things like that. I don't think it would have been You Matter to Me. I don't think it would have been Don't You Let Me Down or anything like that. Or I don't think it would have been anything like that. Not even the first track, I'm Gonna Love You. I don't think it would have been that either. That's maybe the closest. But so there's your Peter song. And then we would have flipped the vinyl, and we would have started track 2 off with Living in Sin, because Gene was the figurehead during this time. So you'd had Living in Sin, and then I'd had Paul Stanley, It's All Right, and then another Gene song, Burning Up with Fever, and then an Ace song, Rip It Out, and then I think the album would have ended with a song like Take Me Away, Together as One, some big epic song from Paul. I only think there would have been 2 songs on this album, even though there were 4 or 3 Ace songs on Dynasty. There was 2000 Man, Save Your Love, Hard Times. That was after the success of his solo album. He had only had up to this point the success of Shock Me and the success of Rocket Ride. So he had one song on Love Gun, and he had, other than the live songs, he had one song of the studio on Alive 2 on side 4. So I think Ace would have got maybe one extra song, but he wouldn't have got more. That's all he would have gotten. Peter, if he got a song at all, he would have gotten one song. So that's what I think. Now, if I picked the songs, like if I was the rep and I put egos aside and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to pick the songs that I think sound the most like KISS, that I think KISS could have worked with the best and put out an album and made a good album and done it in this way for the fans. If I was that record exec and I had all these songs to pull from, this is what I would have done. I would have started the album with Rip It Out from Ace, and then I would have had track 2 would be It's Alright. Radioactive would have been track 3. Ozone would have been track 4, because Ozone's an amazing song. Easy Thing would have been track 5. Easy Thing is a great song. It's almost kind of like a Beth. And then we'd flip the vinyl. Side 2, track 1. Tonight You Belong to Me would have been my opener. Then Snowblind from Ace. And then Take Me Away Together as One from Paul. And then I'm in Need of Love from Ace. And then I Can't Stop the Rain from Paul. And Eugene lovers notice that Gene only got one song. Because really Radioactive and maybe Burning Up with Fever, or, you know, a lot of his songs didn't sound very KISS-esque. And even Peter's songs didn't sound very KISS-esque, but they sounded like Peter songs that would have been on a KISS album. And so, yeah, that's basically what I came up with that. So, what do you guys think? Am I an idiot? Am I crazy? What do you think about those lists? Or what songs would you have wanted to see on a KISS 1978 album made from the solo albums? Name a song that you would have liked to have seen on there. I Can't Stop the Rain. That's a good one. I love I Can't Stop the Rain. Rip It Out. Cool, Ryan. You agree with me. That's awesome. That doesn't happen very often. A lot of people don't agree with me on that. Okay, so in the last live chat that we did, I had a couple questions. I had one person, Bethany in particular, ask me, Bethany, of these two lists, make sure I'm getting them right. She wanted me to do the ultimate set list for the End of the Road tour. Is that what it was, Bethany? Living in Sin. Living in Sin. Thanks, Bethany. I'm glad you think I have a good list. Living in Sin. Hold Me, Touch Me, Think of Me, Where's One by Paul. Chris, I'm glad you like that song. That's a hard song for me to like, and I love Paul's solo album. But it's just so different, and it is very much Paul. He is really feeling it, man. I mean, you know, and he is, you know, and it is a good song. My favorite part of that song is the solo, and that's actually Paul playing that solo. And Paul put so much care into his solo album. He used an EBow, and you hear EBow a little bit on Love Gun, especially during the song Love Gun. During the part where he says, "No place for hiding, baby, nowhere to run." That guitar that you hear in the background sounds like a synthesizer. It's not a synthesizer. It's him using an EBow, and it's a EBow is a little thing that you put. It vibrates, and you put it on a string, and it makes it sound like it'll just keep that note going for a long time. Sounds like a bow getting drawn across it from a violin. And the thing is, you can only put it on one string at a time. So if you're making a chord, you have to keep layering and layering and to make that chord. And he used EBow a lot on his album. He used it on, Take Me Away. He used it on a lot of songs on his album. But, like I said, Hold Me, Touch Me, it's probably not one of my favorite songs on his albums. But I think it's really cool that you like it. Let's see, Kiss On Me Rocks, Hold Me, Touch Me. Great song, Paul. Apparently, a lot of people like this song. I have a hard time getting into it. The final show of the tour, one song from each of the 20 studio albums. Do you think that KISS has the right to sing Beth at concerts because it's Peter's? Well, they own the catalog. So they have the rights to sing anything in that catalog. That's why they could get Tommy singing Shock Me. Because even though it's an Ace song, Ace owns the rights to perform it too. But KISS owns the rights to perform it too because it's in their catalog. So, Bethany, I don't know if I did these lists right, hun. But we'll just see. So here's what I did. I got two lists right here in front of me. Two lists. The first list I have is the 20 tracks for the best End of the Road album. I picked one from each album that I would want to hear. For the best End of the Road set list, not album. The best End of the Road set list, I picked one song from each album. And so this is what I would want to hear. And I kind of tried to put them in an order. But it was really hard to flow in order because some of these songs are so very much different. Shock Me and Beth should be hands off. I agree, Edward. I totally 100% agree. So, all right. So here we go. This is the 20 tracks for the best. And you guys be thinking about your songs because I want you chatting in. I want you interacting. This is my songs, one off of each album, that I would do for a End of the Road tour. They're playing 20 songs. It kind of works because they've got 20 studio albums, not counting the solo albums. They've got 20 studio albums, and they're playing 20 songs. I just checked their most recent set list on setlist.fm. It's 20 songs. So here we go. Of course, I'm going to have them open with Detroit Rock City because it's my song. It's my jam. I don't like playing it. I don't like them playing it as when they play it as a encore. I don't want to wait 2 damn hours to hear my song. So Detroit Rock City, I think, is a great opener. And then let's go on into Psycho Circus. So from the Psycho Circus album, I'd have Psycho Circus. Then my next song would be Parasite. Off of the Hotter Than Hell album, I'd have Parasite. Then I would have She. Off of Dress to Kill, I'd have She. Then I'd have Mr. Speed off of Rock and Roll Over. And then I would have Unholy off of Revenge. And then I'd have I Stole Your Love off of Love Gun. I'd have Hate off of Carnival of Souls. Magic Touch off of Dynasty. Shandy off of Unmasked. Could you freaking imagine hearing Shandy live? If I'm at a KISS concert, if I'm at the tour, the show in Charlotte, and they pull out Shandy, I'm going to shit my britches. I'm telling you right now. If they pulled out Mr. Speed, if they pulled out Mr. Speed, I would shit my britches. But anyway, so Shandy, and then The Oath off of The Elder. War Machine off of Creatures of the Night. And I know that they're doing that, but I love it. Fits Like a Glove. Fits Like a Glove. Look it up, right? Thrills in the Night. Thrills in the Night would definitely be a good one to have. And then Any Way You Slice It. And then Crazy Crazy Nights. And then Forever. Gotta have a love song in there. then Modern Day Delilah, and then Hell or Hallelujah. And then I would go, as the last song, I would go all the way back to the beginning and close the set with Black Diamond. So, that is my all-encompassing, taking one track off of every single album, taking at least one track, only one track off of every single album to make a set list for the End of the Road tour. So, what do y'all think? I'm going to give y'all a minute to process that before I go on to my next list. Little Russian, do you have a song of Kiss you would throw in the trash? Yes. Then She Kissed Me. Read My Body sounds just like Def Leppard. Sounds like Pour Some Sugar on Me. And Ryan's Gaming Channel, they have a lot of great ass songs, and they barely play them. Yeah, they don't touch Carnival of Souls. I don't understand why. It's one of the best albums I think they did. I had somebody say, I don't like Carnival of Souls. It don't sound like Kiss. And I said, that's one of the reasons why I like Carnival of Souls, because it doesn't sound like the idea of what Kiss is supposed to sound like in your head. It doesn't sound like that. And my son Steven, who is in his early 20s, 23 or so, he said that Carnival of Souls is still relevant. He's like, I could listen to this today. Like, this is relevant. You could hear this on the radio today. And but you know, they don't touch it. They act like it's the bastard redheaded stepchild that they keep locked in the closet, you know. I mean, they wasn't even going to release the album. They released it because it got leaked. So, and I really hate that, you know. I hate how bad they treat the elder. This is the second bastard redheaded stepchild that's in the closet with Carnival of Souls. This is a great album. Even the songs on it that don't sound like Kiss, like Just a Boy and Odyssey and stuff like that, are still really good songs. And Paul did a lot of really cool stuff with his voice on that album. Peter Nace should be on this tour. That's what the fans want. Yeah, I think that's what the hardcore and the long-term fans want, but a lot of the sheep and a lot of the newer fans, they don't even know who Kiss, they don't even know who Ace and Peter are. Ace and Peter has never been in the band to them. So it's irrelevant. They don't care. They just wear the makeup. They put the makeup on, and you know, and I've heard people call it Tommy's makeup, and I'm like, how fucking dare you call that Tommy's makeup? That is Ace's makeup, you know. So yeah, but a lot of the people that's going to these shows, you got your hardcore Kiss fans there. You got the fans there that's with their kids who don't know any difference. But you got your sheep there, and you got your casual fans there who are just there to see a show, and they don't care if that's Ace or Peter on the show. They don't on the stage. They don't. Let's see. Thanks, Bethany. You like my set list? That's really awesome. Shandy is played in Australia only, and you know Kiss was, and I don't know if they still are huge in Australia. All Night. I love it. I love it loud. Is that what you're talking about? I Love It Loud, but if I can only pick one song off of War Machine, off of Creatures of the Night to hear live, I'm going to choose War Machine. Ryan's Gaming Channel likes it. Let's see. Who Wants to Be Lonely? Kiss has something for everybody. They do. My favorite Elder song is Just a Boy and the Oath. I love Just a Boy too. The Elder is a good one. I Finally Found My Way is easily the worst Kiss song ever written. It's pretty bad, but I do like that part in there where they go, like they do that whole "Remember how we used to hide away." I like that part. Let's Let's see. The Elder and Unmasked are Kiss AF. The Elder and Unmasked are awesome. I love Ace. They played Shandy in Portland. Huh. Yeah, I love Shandy. I love it all a lot. Okay, so Just the Boy's a great song. Any other songs? What, like, if you was going to see Kiss, or if you are going to see Kiss and you could have them play a song that's not currently in the set list, what would it be? Because a lot of these are not in the set list. Like Parasite's not, Mr. Speed's not, Unholy's not. You know, a lot of my songs are not in the set list. They're doing some kind of combination between the songs that everybody wants to hear for the sheep, and they're doing the deep cuts that some of the people from that's been there since the beginning, from the 70s and stuff, might want to hear, and they're doing an amalgamation of the two of them. But what else songs would you want to hear? Strange Ways. Strange Ways would be very interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of Strange Ways, but I would probably dig hearing it live. I don't like the way it just drudges on Hotter Than Hell. That same riff over and over. I'd love to hear Shock Me. I would love to hear Shock Me too, but only if Ace was singing it, not Tommy. I've heard him singing Shock Me and on YouTube, and it pisses me off. Just as I don't really like, I'm not the biggest fan of Beth, but I don't want to hear Peter singing it either. Or not Peter, but I don't want to hear Ace. God, it's been a long day. I don't want to hear Eric singing it. Okay. Okay, so the next list I want to talk about is I keep getting these notifications from people subscribing on my channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you so much. I mean, I love making these videos, and I love doing these live chats, and I appreciate you guys so much. You know, I really do. Ronnie, Killer's 4 tracks gets ignored. Yeah, they do. And some of the tracks off of Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits gets ignored. My favorite, oh God, I can't even remember what my favorite song off of Killers is. It was on the tip of my tongue, and then I lost it. I can't remember. Anyway, it's been a long day. Fight Hell to Hold You. My song would be I'd Fight Hell to Hold You without Be My. I don't understand what you're saying there. My song would be I'd Fight Hell to Be With You. That would be my song. Okay. Talking about I'd Fight Hell to Hold You. Is that what you're talking about? The next list that I compiled is for, I think we talked about this, and it was, if I was going to make if I was going to make an album, and I was going to make an album that would be a double album, okay? It's going to be a double album. It's going to have 20 songs on it, and there's going to be 4 songs on each. There's going to be 5 songs on each side. And if I was to make a 20-track album with songs from the 70s from only original members, Ace, Gene, Paul, Peter. If I was going to do that from the 70s, and I was going to go from the first album to Dynasty. So not going past Dynasty. From the first album to Dynasty, and include the solo albums. Not including Killers, because Killers is an import, and it's a compilation album. So I'm not going to include Killers. I'm not including any songs off the live albums, and I'm not including any songs off the Double Platinum because that was a compilation album too. I'm talking about the studio recorded albums. And if I was to do a album with the original members, double album, 20 songs, what would it be? All from the 70s. And this is it. So, and I want to hear what songs you would want to hear on this album too. So, the first side of the album, track 1 would be Detroit Rock City, and then Deuce, and then Rocket Ride, and then She, and then Hooligan. Hooligan would finish out the first side of the album. And then the second side, it would start with Mr. Speed, then have Shock Me, then have Parasite, then Cold Gin, then Watching You. Oh, and by the way, this is a live album. I forgot to say that. This is a live album. Like if I were to make a live album out of, if KISS would have performed a live album, oh God, I totally blew the context of this. If I was filming this, I would start it all over. This is a live album. This is a 70s live album. So if they would have created another 70s, if they would have done a live album after Dynasty, if they would have done another live album, what it would have been. So it would have started off with Detroit Rock City, Deuce, Rocket Ride, She, Hooligan, and then Mr. Speed, Shock Me, Parasite, Cold Gin, Watching You, and then track side 2, or album number 2, side 1 would be I Stole Your Love, See You in Your Dreams, Gene's version off of his solo album of See You in Your Dreams, Ozone from Ace, It's Alright from Paul, Radioactive from Gene, 2000, the last track, the last side of the album would be 2000 Man from Ace, Magic Touch, Easy Thing from Peter, Shout It Out Loud would be the next to last song, and then the final song would be Let Me Go Rock and Roll. What I tried to do with that is I tried to make it out of songs that wasn't just totally overplayed on the live albums, or overplayed live and everything. So, yeah, I did butcher it. You're right, Bethany. I appreciate that. And you guys have no idea at all how much I butcher stuff whenever I'm recording. When I'm sitting in here and I'm recording, and I'll get caught up on my words, or I'll say something wrong, or I'll whatever, and I just like, okay, I'm gonna stop and I'm just gonna start over, or I'll cut something entirely. I'll have 40 minutes worth of material and it'll cut down to 30 minutes because I've cut off like 15 minutes of babbling or getting off track or whatever, especially when I have special guests. It gets really bad when I have special guests. So, let's see. I'm a Legend Tonight is great. Kiss Army says. My song would be, let's see. When do you think the darkest time was in their career? I think the darkest time in KISS's career, was when Paul was basically carrying the band. And, Gene was off making movies. Peter had been fired. Ace had left and started a solo career. And Gene was now off trying to produce bands. And he was trying to make movies. And he was, involved in Runaway and Trick or Treat and Wanted Dead or Alive. And so Gene basically put KISS on the back burner. And all that responsibility fell on Paul. And one thing I can say, we can talk about Paul today, about his shitty attitude sometimes, or about whether he's lip syncing or using backing tracks, whether he, and I think he's more using backing tracks than lip syncing. I think there's some lip syncing involved in the middle of using the backing tracks, but I believe that sometimes he sings, and I think for the most part he sings, but there's just certain songs I think he uses assistants on. And right or wrong, it is the way it is. I mean, like I said, the guy is, you know, pushing 70. It's going to be a 3-year-long tour. I mean, my voice is just about giving out, doing the amount of talking that I did early this morning, and then turning around and doing it again this evening, talking for about 4 hours straight. So I can understand if I was singing for 2 hours and just, you know, really belting it out, plus dancing around and everything and all the other stuff that Paul does. So I really can, I don't know if I can fault the guy. The thing that's always bothered me is I just wish that he would come forward and step forward and say, hey, I'm using assistants. If you still want to come to the show, come to the show. But he's probably got somebody telling him not to do that. Maybe Doc McGee, or maybe management, or hell, even the record company. Well, not the record company, but the promoter. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, it is what it is. But it's just one of those things. It is what it is. You either go see them or you don't. And I kind of totally lost track of what I was talking about. Let's see. So we got, let's see. Who we got in here? Ryan says, I love Rocket Ride. I have a KISS box set. That's awesome. Do you have the box set? Yes, I do. It's right here. Right there. And I've been doing videos on it, and you can catch them on my channel. I've been doing videos about songs on it. Let's see. Jacob says, I just watched The Dirt for a second time. It was amazing. The Dirt was a great movie. I loved it. Hey, Motley admits using backing tracks. Yeah, they use backing tracks. A lot of bands do these days. They do. They use, even a band that I love, you know, Typo Negative, they used tracks and loops and pre-recorded things and stuff like that to enhance their music. And even some, the keyboardists would have like background, you know, background singing and stuff like that programmed on his keyboard. But like I said, they were honest about it. They were honest about it. You could tell if you listen to a band like Typo Negative and you hear what they're doing on that album, and then you hear them live and you hear stuff that you're like, how are they doing that? Where's that sound coming from? It's coming from the keyboardist. It's coming from Josh. So somebody mentioned about The Dirt, seeing it 2 times. I've saw it 3 times. I'm going to see it a 4th time before this weekend over, and probably a 5th time. And I really like it. We talked about The Dirt quite a bit earlier in the feed, and so but yeah, if you like The Dirt, if you haven't seen it, I really, if you're a Motley Crue fan, don't get too hung up on the fact that they omit things. Don't get too hung up on the fact that the timing and a lot of things is not quite right. Just enjoy it. I really liked the way they narrated it, how each member of the band kind of narrated it and took turns doing it. I had a friend I was talking to earlier, and they were talking about how, oh, they broke the 4th wall, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, they're like, you don't know what I'm talking about? Where the actor talks to the audience. And they do that a lot, especially Mick. I'm telling you, Mick is my favorite character in the movie. I love it. So I've watched it 3 times already, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching it a few more times this weekend before I have to go back to work on Monday. So I love Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, even though it was cheesy. What are your thoughts? I love Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park too. I remember being a kid. I remember being 9 years old, and on Halloween, and Saturday night, it was a Saturday night special on Saturday night movie special. I remember seeing it in the TV Guide that week. It had a little article about it, and I remember being hyped up, wanting to see it so bad. And I remember sitting on laying on the living room floor in front of the TV. We had the TVs that was built into the floor model TVs that was built into the big things of wood. And I remember watching it. I remember it coming on and just being blown away. And I didn't see it as cheesy. I was 9. I didn't see it as cheesy. I saw it as they were superheroes. In the very beginning, they're walking on air and shooting lasers out of their eyes. And I watch it now, and it's good fun. It's cheese, but it's good cheese, And I like pouring that cheese on. If it's good cheese, I like pouring that cheese on. And it's good cheese. They're not actors. I mean, they actually have all acted, every one of them now. But back then, they were just, they weren't actors. But I like Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. It's one of my fondest childhood memories, watching Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. I was actually, like I said, I was there the night it premiered on TV, and I watch it very often. And sometimes I just put it in when I'm working on stuff. I'll just put it in and I'll let it play on this TV here behind me, and I'll just let it play. Let's see. You saw it on TV. The Love Boat was on the other channel. Yeah. I remember the Love Boat. I remember the Love Boat. Definitely. Just catching up here, guys. You see me looking down. I'm actually looking at my phone. See, I've got you guys on my phone. There's my stream there. And you guys are all down here. And I'm watching this along with you. And, I'm going to break the internet because I'm going to see me and see my thing. I don't know if any of y'all were here earlier and on the first one, and I kind of showed my room off a little bit on the first one, and I don't think some of y'all were here earlier. And if you were here earlier, we're starting to do some spring cleaning, and my room is this room that I film in is one of the rooms in my home. We have a 4-bedroom, 2-story, 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. And so this is one of the bedrooms on the bottom floor, and it's dedicated to just me doing videos. And I do have my drum set in here kind of covered up. It's kind of dismantled a little bit, but I keep it covered up to keep echoes from happening too much. But we started doing some spring cleaning. So earlier, if you saw the video earlier, the stream earlier, I didn't have all this crap that you're about to see was not here, but we started doing some spring cleaning, pulling some stuff out, and so it's all in this area here. But I'm going to show my room a little bit. So right beside me on the wall here, there's a big empty space where I'm going to put a poster or something, and right beside me here is my computer, and so you see that I'm streaming right here. So we're going to break the internet because I'm filming my computer, right here is my microphone, and when I turn it, it's going to sound like you can't hear me very well, so I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, there's my microphone that I use, and that is sitting on top of my Crosley that I use to play albums and CDs and whatnot. And a little further down is my Bose subwoofer that's right here at my foot. And you see a little bottom of the tripod there that the camera's on. I have shoes on now, didn't have shoes on earlier. Here's my notes. Here's my phone. Here is one of my Bose speakers. Here's the bat phone For those of you who had these kinds of phones when you were a kid, there's my back phone. It doesn't work. And then my UE Boom is right here. My UE Boom Ultimate Mega Boom. And then my 3 KISS albums that I have put up on the wall right now is there. And then my KISS album collection is here, filed from the first album to the last. And then my other Bose speaker here. And then up on the wall is the KISS posters. And then there's the poster there that's got a pretty nasty glare on it that a fan sent me. And even put my name on it, the channel. And then my albums back there. Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, and Pyromania. I've recently reviewed Pyromania, so that's why it's there. And then there's a TV back. I'm going to stand up, get out of the way here. There is a shelf here, and the shelf basically has, this is some KISS videos here, and it's Kissology and Symphony, and then there's some books here. There's a Deadpool. There's KISS Psycho Circus is there. There's the Rip magazine that has Paul and Jean and makeup on it. There is the Song Hits that's got Vinnie Vincent on it. There is the KISS Playboy that is there. There's the box set, the Nothing to Lose, Behind the Mask, and there's Stephen King and some haunted stuff. Cassettes, 8 tracks, CDs, albums here, games there, some adult games there, like Cards Against Humanity and Rotten Apples and stuff like that. And then there's my record player. My TV, and then Walking Dead poster that's going up in here somewhere. And other Walking Dead stuff's going to be coming in here. And then some tech stuff that I'm going to be working on. There's a Mac down there and a Gateway PC. And so, yeah, so if I sit back down here and I spin the camera on around, you see that there's the vacuum cleaner. There's the door that goes out of the room. There's one of my grandkids' little jumpy things. There's the auxiliary camera that I'm not using right now. There's a light that's kind of giving the light over here on the side of my hand that you see. And then above, I've got 2 lights up there. There is a, you can't really see on there, but one is a bright LED and the other one is a warm light. And then you come on across, all this stuff wasn't here earlier. And then there's the drum set that is covered up. And then you come on around, and basically when I'm sitting looking at the camera would be like right in this area right here. And so I see everything going across from the window basically over when I'm sitting here looking at you guys or looking at the camera. So anyway, yeah, a little behind the scenes tour there. Peel the veil back a little bit and just show you exactly what you see, what's going on outside of frame here. So let's check and see how many subscribers, check and see how many viewers I lost during the tour. Let's see. And I'm going to catch up on the chat here. And I wanted to take some questions because I really don't have anything else on my notes. I'm done basically talking about things. So this is the opportunity to ask questions about the channel. You can ask questions about what's coming up, or I can tell you what's coming up. You can ask questions about what I like. You can ask me not personal questions, but you can ask me questions. We just talk. This is your opportunity to kind of interact and talk. And if we have a lot of it, we'll do it for a little while. And if we don't have a lot of it, we'll call the chat. We'll call the chat short. Okay, got some few questions. What's my favorite KISS album? As of right now, I've not done rating all of them, and I'm not really going to say what my favorite KISS album is until I've finished rating all of them. But I believe when I'm done, my favorite KISS album is still going to be Kiss Alive 2. But as of right now, up in my ratings, Kiss Alive 2 is my favorite. And I have Kiss Millennial Concert to go. That'll be my next review. And then I have Kiss Symphony to do. And then I have Psycho Certain. No, wait a minute. See, Kiss Millennial Concert. Yeah, Kiss Millennial Concert. I'm sorry. That would have been a cut too. Kiss Millennial Concert, Kiss Symphony, Sonic Boom, Monster, and then Kiss Rocks Vegas. So I have 5 albums left to go. And then I'm going to review Peter's solo albums, Out of Control, and his solo albums that he did after that. I'm going to review Ace's solo albums. I'm going to review Gene's Asshole album, and I'm going to review Paul's Live to Win album. And I'm going to be continuing on my reviews, my retrospects for my 80s albums. I just did Pyromania. It came out this week. You can check that out. My next review is going to be for this album right here. And it'll be coming out sometime later this week for Quiet Riot, Mental Health. I need to transfer this to CD because I love this album. Very influential to me, and I'm looking forward to doing it. And I don't know if it's one of the next ones, but an upcoming one is Dockin' Under Lock and Key. That one will be coming sometime soon also. So, yeah, be on the lookout for those as far as what's coming to the channel. Let's see. That is a Playboy March. What's my favorite Kiss? Am I going to do drum videos? Me and my son Steven are actually going to be working on a video series. He plays guitar, and we're going to work on a video series where we're going to write our own songs, but in the stylings of other bands. It's like in the styling of Kiss or other bands that we like. And we're just going to have these little short exercises where we show videos, us writing the song, playing the song, and stuff like that. So there will be some drum videos coming. Probably in late summer. Let's see. Do I play guitar? No, I don't. I pick at it, but I don't play it. I actually love the Unmasked album. It gets too much hate. I agree. I like the Unmasked album too. Do I like Torpedo Girl? Yes, I do. Torpedo Girl. I like the bass line. That do 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 do. That's an awesome bass line. That's Ace playing that. Have I ever listened to bands such as Camelot and Pekka? No, I have not, Bethany. No, I have not. But you message me some bands, an album by them, and I'll check it out. What's my favorite Kiss song? Detroit Rock City is my favorite Kiss song. Is there any Kiss album that you actually hate? Yes. Crazy Nights. Crazy Nights has some songs on it that I like, but I don't like that album. You're reviewing Gene. I'm reviewing Gene's Asshole. Not his literal asshole, but his album Asshole, yes. Let's see. I lost my place. Do I do drum videos? I am going to do some drum videos later on. Bang Your Head, Mental Health, hell yeah. Do I like Frehley's Comet? Yes, I do. I actually have a sealed Frehley's Comet album that I found in a record store a few weeks back. And it is this one. It's factory sealed. It was it was a cut, but it's sealed. It's never been opened. And you can see that it's sealed there. But this is the one that's got Into the Night on it. It's got Rock Soldiers, Breakout. And Breakout, actually, if y'all have heard Car Jam, that's on the end of Car Jam, that's on the end of Revenge. the riff in that actually turned into Breakout. He sped it up, but that that's the riff from Breakout. And even that at the very end, after Eric does his solo, that where it goes that does that. That's actually what's played under the Breakout. That's what's played there. Into the Night, you know. Yeah. So I have this. It's sealed still. And I have. Let me show you some of the stuff I never really talk about in my catalog. I have this. It's an MCA review. I have this. And the only reason I have it is because you see right here at my pinky, it has Chelsea. It has a Chelsea song on it. And that is Peter Criss's album before he was in KISS. And it has a Chelsea song on it. It has all these other bands on it, but it has Peter's band, Chelsea, on there. So I have that. Let's see what else I have that might seem unorthodox. Probably not too much more. But I do own Crazy Nights. You see, I do own it. And it's still sealed. Let's see. What's you guys' opinions? Here's something to chat about while I'm looking at these albums. What is your opinion on if you have an album that is sealed? If you have an album that's sealed, but you have another copy of the album, and you have an album that's sealed, what's your thoughts on keeping that album sealed? Or do you unseal all your albums? I have a bunch of sealed albums. A bunch. And the reason why I keep them sealed is because I have that Frehley's comment, it's sealed. That thing's old, and it's still sealed. I'm going to keep it sealed. That Crazy Nights, it's an original. This thing has been sealed since the day it was made. I don't have no intentions of listening to this. I can listen to it streaming, so I'm not going to open it. Let's see what else I have that might be weird for most people. Oh, I have this. I showed this earlier. This is I Was Made for Loving You maxi single. This is actually from Germany. It's a phonogram release, but it's a 45. You see it's big, but it plays at 45. It's got I Was Made for Loving You and Hard Times on it. This is an import, and it's got what I call KISS. You know. But yeah, they have to use that logo in Germany because the lightning S's look too much like swastikas. So it's really cool to see albums that have that. I have another one that I'll show you. Let's see, Dynasty. There's 3 copies of Dynasty. There's a Peter Criss. I got a Peter Criss. This is the only one I own of Peter Criss. This is made by Lilith, printed by Lilith, and this is a picture disc. And I hope to own the other 3. It's still sealed as well. It's the only one I own of that. And then Paul Stanley. I've got a German version of Paul's album. And the way you can tell it's German is because of the KISS. It's KISS in the logo. And so I have that. I actually have a few versions of Paul's albums, and I didn't have any of the versions of the other albums. I didn't have Gene or Ace or Peter until, not the Peter picture disc, I had it. But I didn't have Ace, Gene, or Peter until a viewer sent them to me. Paul, he was in the chat earlier. I've got KISS. I've got KISS Alive 2. And the cool thing about my KISS Alive 2 is it's in awesome shape. And I still have the tattoos that came with it. And it's still got the merchandise form that came with it. So it's got the merchandise form, the original form from 1977. So it's got that. I had this poster. This poster right here, the gatefold poster, I had that. And I had this shirt too. And I had these 4 posters too. The ones on the wall. I had these 4 posters too. So yeah, don't have many more, but I did. And it's got the book in here as well. The Evolution of KISS is in here. So the book's in there too. And overall, it's in pretty good shape. To be, you know, as many years old as it is, it's in really good shape. So let's see. I've got double platinum. I've got double platinum, and it's an original, and it's got the certificate form in it. It's not in the greatest shape, but you know, it'll hold a place until I can find something else. And I think that might be all the kind of weird ones. I do have, I don't know if you've ever heard of it as a KISS collector, but if you've ever heard of the Rock and Roll Over that has a teardrop Paul, I have it. It has a teardrop there under his eye. They say it's a misprint, but it's only on the front. It's not on the back. It's not on the back side. And these are RCA Record Club, and this was RCA Record Club misprint. And I also have Rock and Roll Over. I have the 2014 that's sealed. I have the limited edition color vinyl that just came out that is the amber translucent. And then I have my original Rock and Roll Over that has the sticker in it. I believe this is the one that has the sticker, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, has the sticker in it, and you can see if I can get the light on it right that it's actually perforated and will come apart in different sections. And I've heard in some places this is all one big sticker, but in this one you can actually peel Paul out of there if you wanted to and leave the rest behind. I have a Love Gun that has the gun in it. Let's see, where's my Love Gun that has the gun in it? Right here. This Love Gun has the gun. I think it's actually inside the album, if I'm not mistaken. I might have put it back inside of there. Yep. So this has the gun. If I'm boring the shit out of you, you can log off and say goodnight. I'm just going through my albums. I do this a lot, but yeah, it's the gun. It's not in the original. It's been pulled out. It's not in the original piece. But the original thing that it was inside of is in here. It was already pulled out, and I've got several of the bangs, which I don't know how I got several of the bangs, but I've got like 3 of these in here, and I don't remember if the original album came with all those extra bangs, but I know that mine did. And another thing that's weird about my Love Gun is that this Love Gun does not have the band on it. If you know what I'm talking about, the Love Gun, the band from the cover is screen printed right in this area here. And the story behind this is that basically they ran out of labels and they used the regular Casablanca Filmworks labels and then just printed the song titles on it. But it does not have the band on it. And so I thought that was pretty cool that was that way. And let me just get this back in here. But yeah, and then I got to catch up on comments because y'all might be over there cussing me or doing whatever, and I can't even tell because I'm not looking. But yeah, so if I pull this Love Gun out really quick here, you see that basically what I'm talking about. There, you see how the band is screen printed on there. My other Love Gun does not have this, and this one does not have the. This is RCA Record Club edition too, and it does not have the gun in it. I don't know if it came with the gun in it originally, but it doesn't. And I think that's pretty much unique stuff to the, you know, for my stuff. So let me check on the. Am I looking forward to Pete Willis accept the award of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I am, actually. Let's see. Do I like Ace's new album? I do. Breakout's cool. Oh, so we're talking about Ace. Do I have Vinnie Vincent's album? No, I don't. I don't have any Vinnie Vincent album. I did have the one that's got Boys Gonna Rock and stuff like that. I think that was the Invasion album. Have I heard of Lilac? They're a family band that does a killer version of Dio's Rainbow in the Dark. No, I haven't. Creatures of the Night is a VV album. Yeah. Yeah, so is he also contributed to Revenge. Keep it sealed, yeah, keep my album sealed. If you have duplicates, keep them sealed. Let's see. Rock and Roll Over has the best cover. And I've never seen you comment on Stone Temple Pilots. Let me know what you think. Stone Temple Pilots. I actually really liked Stone Temple Pilots. I liked their first album. I remember their first album. I blew it up for a long time. And so I like Stone Temple Pilots. I'm not a big fan of all of their catalog, but I really liked the first album. All right. Let me catch up here. All right. So, any more questions? Any more? Silence. Do you like the song You Make Me Rock Hard? Not really. I think Eric Carr has a solo album. Do I know about it? No, I don't. I've heard some stuff that Eric did as far as demos goes. And Eric was a really, really phenomenal musician and artist. He not only could play drums, but he could sing. He was a good songwriter. He helped co-write a lot of songs. I think he should have been given a more opportunity to put his songs on Kiss's albums. Gene and Paul should have gave him more opportunity to be able to play and to be able to sing, songs, not just the ones that he did, because they really missed out on that with him. They also missed out on it with Bruce. Bruce was an amazing guitarist. They let him spread his wings on Revenge and definitely spread his wings on Carnival of Souls. And he even sings a song on Carnival of Souls, the last album he worked on Kiss, called I Walk Alone. It's the last song on the album, and I really love it. He wrote it with Gene, and Gene sings on it some with him towards the end. But I think that's a great song. It's one of the songs I'm listening to Carnival of Souls, and the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm waiting to get to that song at the end because it's such a great song. Sometimes I'll put that CD in, or I will stream it on my phone, and I'll play that song first, and then I'll go back and switch back around to Hate. Do I have Kiss bootlegs? I do, but I just basically keep them personal. I do, and I have some demos that I'm going to be reviewing that could be considered bootleg, but that's probably a little further on into the year. I wish Eddie Kramer would have produced Dynasty. It would have been epic. I wish Eddie Kramer would have produced the first 2 Kiss albums. And maybe if he would have produced Dynasty, it might have been epic. But I know that hands down, if you listen to the demos, the Eddie Kramer demos of some of the tracks off the first Kiss album, they're hands down better than the Kerner and Wise songs, or the Kerner and Wise recordings. So I think if Eddie Kramer would have produced, I don't understand why Eddie Kramer couldn't have been their producer like George, what's his name, George Morano or whatever. George was that for the Beatles. You know, he was basically the producer that the Beatles used. I wish Eddie Kramer could have been, you know, because what he did for Kiss, when he did for Kiss, he did an amazing job. So, yeah. Eric Carr was awesome. Much better than Eric Singer in every category. Eric Carr was awesome. I don't like comparing Eric Carr and Eric Singer, and I don't like comparing Peter to Eric Carr or Eric Singer. I think they're all three great drummers. They all three have their own different playing style. And Peter's always going to be my drummer, man. I mean, Peter was the original drummer of KISS. He's the one that, like he said, he was the one that sweated it out in that loft with them and created those characters and created that image of KISS that they took off with and everything. And Peter gets a lot of flack, but he's a good drummer in the element that he worked. And he got better as he went along. He gets a lot of shit from fans. He gets a lot of shit from Paul and Gene. But I think a lot of people that give shit to Peter, they kind of adopt that mentality that Paul and Gene has. I think kind of by proxy over time, they've adopted it as all Peter's shit because Gene and Paul says he is. But he's a great drummer. He's the original drummer of KISS. KISS would not have been who they are without Peter, or without Ace, or without Paul, or without Gene. Would not have been who they were. That forged those up to like Alive 2. I mean, you know, that's the KISS that we know kind of started falling off after that. That we knew, that I grew up with. Eric Carr is an entirely different kind of drummer than Peter. The one thing I could fault Eric Carr for is, and I don't know if it was directly his fault, was when Eric Carr live, he played everything so fucking fast. I mean, everything was fast. Go back and watch the Animalize live video. Oh my God. It's like Detroit Rock City's fast, and he's doing drum fills to everything, and he's doing double bass on everything, even songs that don't really need double bass. He's playing so damn fast. And so, but I think Eric Carr's a great drummer. And I think Eric Singer is a great drummer. Listen to the shit he does on Carnival of Souls. Listen to the stuff he does on Revenge. He's a great drummer. It's like comparing guitarists, you know, Ace and Vinny and Mark St. John and Bruce Kulick and Tommy Thayer. Out of all of them, I probably like Tommy Thayer the least. I think Mark St. John was a great guitarist. He wasn't with the band very long. I think Vinny was a better songwriter. Vinny was a really good songwriter and a good guitarist. Ace is always going to be my boy, you know, and Ace is home taught, and, you know, he plays like he's drunk because most of the time he was, but even when he's not drunk, he still has that swagger to him. But I really like Bruce Kulick because some of the things that Bruce did throughout the 80s, and like I said, especially on Revenge and Carnival of Souls, was just abso-fucking-lutely amazing. So I respect all band members of KISS. The only thing I really don't like is I don't like Ace. I don't like Tommy and Eric wearing the Catman and the Spaceman, or wearing Ace and Peter's makeup. I don't really like that. If KISS was to take the makeup off and go out and tour, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But they wouldn't be filling up arenas or close to filling them up. You know, I've seen some of them as low as mid 70%, 72, 73% sold. So yeah, I've seen, you know, they wouldn't be doing that well if they didn't have the makeup on. George Martin, thank you, Bethany. Do I like Damn Yankees? I love their first album. Coming of Age is a great, you know, I like Night Ranger. Don't Tell Me You Love Me is a great song. You Can Still Rock in America is a great song. But yes, I do like Damn Yankees. I love their first album. That's the only album I really have exposure to is their first one. Do I remember the LPs that had like a 90-degree cut out the top left corner of the lips? Do you know what I'm talking about? Are you talking about cut corners? Let me know, D. Anderson, if you're talking about cut corners. I always say Eric Singer is the current drummer. Eric Carr was the best drummer. But Peter was the drummer of KISS. That's a good way to put it. I think they were factory records, Still Wondering. What do you think about the book Face the Music? I think Face the Music's a great book. I own it on audio. I don't own it physically. And I've listened to it several times. It's read by Paul. I think it's a great book. Paul, you know, he's very self-serving in it. And but I still think it's a great book. Do you know Ace has Carolina roots? His mother was from Hendersonville. Used to spend his childhood summers there. No, I did not know that. Did not know that. Hendersonville's not far from me, like maybe an hour. I'm in western North Carolina, about an hour, less than an hour east of Asheville. Yeah, that's cool. I never was a Singer fan going back to pre-Kiss. He just doesn't hit hard enough for me. Do you like Kill and Black and Blue? I do like Kill, but I'm not. I'm not a fan of Black and Blue. Peter Criss is a great drummer. Kiss Army rocks. I have it. Let's see here. I'm going to show you. D. Anderson, you was asking about the 90-degree cut. And I'm going to show you one of my albums that shows that. And I want to see if this is what you're talking about. One of my solo albums. My Paul is a cut. And from what I understand, I can tell you, if this is what you're talking about, I can tell you the story. Well, my Peter. Here's my Peter's cut. Ooh, my Peter's cut. Are you talking about this right here? You talking about the corner being cut like that? If you are, I'll tell you the story behind that. When you see an album that has a cut like that, or it has a notch in it like my Ace did, what that is that basically means that these were sold and then returned, or put in a bargain bin, or returned and then sold in a bargain bin. But it means that it did not originally sell to the place that it was meant to sell from. And so you see these a lot with the solo albums because they printed like 1.25 million of each one of these. And you see it a lot with Peters. You see it a lot with Gene's. You don't see it so much with Aces, but you do see it. And so this right here is a cut corner. And a lot of people, they don't like collecting these. They like the uncut corners. I don't care either way. All of my solo albums, they have the merch forms and they have the posters in them, and you could see that the vinyl or the cover is in really good shape. This is one I got from a viewer, so you see that it's in really good shape. And I'll just pull this out here so you can see that it doesn't affect anything. The cut corner. So here's the merch form for Peters. That's there. It's original 1978. And then here's the poster that's inside of it. So, yeah. So that's the poster. Have any of y'all all seen these posters? Do y'all want to see the rest of them? I don't know who's seen these posters and who hasn't. So if you want to see the rest of I've got 3 more albums I could show you, and I could show the rest of the posters out of these albums if you want to see them. If you do, just chime in. If you don't, I'll just keep going on to something else and keep answering questions. So D. Anderson, you want to see them, okay? Or is that? Oh, wait a minute. It's D. Anderson. I don't know what you're saying yes to. I guess I'll have to see. Had a lot of those posters. Had all those posters. I'll pull them out here just for shits and giggles, and if people want to watch, they can watch. If they don't want to watch, they don't have to watch. See, let me get Gene and Ace and let's see, Gene, Ace, and Paul. Let me find my open Paul. All right, here we go. So, all right, Bethany. I thought you were going to stay up till you turned however old you are at midnight. You said to go till midnight. Do I like the band TNT? Yes, I do. I like the band TNT. I also like the band Y&T. Their album that's got Summertime Girls and LA Rocks and stuff like that on it is really good. It's one of those bands from the 70s that kind of reinvented themselves. But Bethany, if you're gone, thanks. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. Yeah, you did say that. You did say that. You said, I hope your stream goes to midnight so you can ring in my birthday. You did say that. See, I listen. I listen to you guys. Don't think I don't. I listen. Here's Ace's solo album, and you flip it around on the back, and you see there's the dust sleeve, had all 4 of them on it. And here's Ace's merch sheet in there. You can order all your stuff, Ace. And you can join the KISS Army. I love the prices on these. Check this out. You can get the t-shirt for $5, the poster for $2.50, the concert book for $3, the Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park book for $2. It's crazy, you know, crazy prices, crazy low prices. And here's my Ace. I remember this was my favorite poster of all of them. And they got these, like I said, they've got these cuts here because they would group together with the other posters in a certain order. But I remember the Ace poster, and I just remember thinking it was so cool. You know, it had his guitar, and it's got not only the smoke, but it's got the wires coming out of it too, and he's standing on the stars. And I just remember thinking Ace's poster was so awesome. Yeah, so that's the Ace poster and merch form there. And then let me grab Gene here. Here's my Gene. And I love the Geraldo Caraguti cover paintings are just amazing. Amazing, amazing. If I knew that a tattoo artist that could do a halfway decent job, I would like to have some of these tattoos of these stuff on my body. But, you know, you never know if a tattoo artist is going to totally, you know, dick you over when it comes to stuff like that. Here's my Gene Simmons merch form, showing all his stuff. And here is Gene's poster. I used to think Gene's poster was badass too. You know, he's breathing fire and he's spitting the blood, and it's got the big picture of him in the middle, and it's got his guitar, and he's standing all in the, I don't know if it's blood or fire, and those boots, those awesome boots. I think that's fire. But yeah, so there's Gene's poster for his album. And KISS, man, they were the masters of merchandising. You know, you had to get all 4. Otherwise, if you didn't get all 4, you wouldn't have a complete poster. You know, they could have just made these posters and you could have hung them up individually. But you look stupid if somebody walked in your room and you just had one hanging up and you didn't have all of them hanging up. You know, so even if you didn't want Gene's album, you wanted it because you wanted to complete the posters. So here's my Paul album. And pull the Paul merch form out. So there's the merch form for Paul. And here's Paul's poster. So Paul's jumping. He's jumping with the legs spread, and he's showing off his tattoo, and he's squatting and got the guitar above his head, and he's standing on a cloud of love or whatever. I don't know what the hell it is. But I think it's cool because, see, if you look here where it would have went into the next poster, you could always tell who was going to kind of be next. Because if you look right in this area right here, you see this little bit of fire? That little bit of fire right there. That's enough of a hint to let you know that this next poster over here is going to be Gene's. So yeah. So that's my and you see if you notice my Paul, all of them I think are cut except maybe my Ace. I'll show you that. Paul is cut down here in the corner. Very small cut, but you see it's there. Gene's is cut in the bottom corner. Pretty good size cut. Ace's, no cut. People wasn't taking Ace's album back, and they were buying the shit out of them. Gene's may have charted higher, but that's not in reflective of album sales. Gene's may have charted higher, but Ace's sold more than Peter's cut, which I've already showed. My cut Peter. So anyway, I'm gonna check the text here, check the chat, and if nobody else has anything to say, we may go ahead and cut this one out. So, Y&T amazing band, yep. Have I met anyone in KISS? No, I haven't. I had the opportunity to meet KISS on the Asylum tour. I had the opportunity to meet KISS on the Asylum tour. I had won press gate passes for that tour, and so I was allowed to come in to the press gate. I didn't have to come into the main way, and I was allowed, me and a friend were allowed to be in between the barrier and the stage, and we were going to go backstage and meet KISS afterwards, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then my friend got sick. I think he was hypoglycemic or something, so he got sick from not having any food, and we had to leave. And from what I understand, I think KISS started seeing people, you know, they had to take their makeup off and stuff like that. They started seeing people almost maybe a few minutes after we left. But hey, so I've never met any members in KISS. Just reading. I like the Paul Stanley solo album. Do you know why Paul Stanley hates Twisted Sister? No, I don't. I don't know. Paul and Gene suck. Can't stand them. They have destroyed the legacy the last 20 years. You know, I think that Paul and Gene have made a lot of selfish and bad decisions. KISS is still around because of them. What is you can call KISS. But yeah, they have made some poor decisions. What other cool KISS stuff do you have that's included in the vinyls? Okay, Ben Wright's asking that. I'll see if I can find some stuff. Dee Snider and Paul hate each other because made comments about them being a cover band. I got Eric Singer used drumstick last year. What was your first KISS concert? Mine was Animalize. My first KISS concert was when I was 10 years old in 1979. It was the Dynasty tour. It was when they were supporting Dynasty, and I was 10 years old. I would then see them again on the Creatures tour. I would see them on the Animalized tour, the Asylum tour, the Hot in the Shade tour, the Revenge tour, and on the Farewell tour. The Farewell or the Reunion. The Reunion tour. Saw them on the Reunion tour. I've seen them a lot of times. I've just never met them. Let's see. Big argument. Eddie Trunk covered it. Huh. Yeah, Dynasty Tour was really cool. They had those outlandish, crazy costumes, you know. And I remember the stage was like a multi-level, and they had these things around the drums that came down, kind of like curved and smoked, rolled down it like a wave. I remember it being really cool. Somebody asked, whatever inserts do I have as far as stuff having inserts? Alive 2 has an insert. It has a book, kind of like Kiss Alive 2 does. It has an insert. If you've not seen it, I'll show it really quickly. But the front of it looks like this. And then the inside of it, you've got Gene, and then you've got Peter, and then you've got the inside cover, which is it's a montage of pictures, and then there is the picture of Paul, and then there's the picture of Ace, and then on the cover, on the back, it's a live shot, and that's inside of Alive. I'm trying to think what else. My Dynasty that I have does not have the poster, but Dynasty has a poster. Has an amazing poster. Unmasked has an amazing poster, but my Unmasked is a reissue, and it is still sealed. I haven't opened it. Let's see, I'm trying to think back through here, whatever else would have an insert that I could show. But I don't think, I think everything I've showed. Let's see, I have 3 Dynasties, or 2 Dynasties. And one of them is sealed, repress, or reissue. My Unmasked is sealed. It's a reissue. And then Asylum and like that, whenever they got bought out by Mercury, Mercury didn't give a shit to put stuff inside of albums. And so my Dynasty doesn't have a poster. At least I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Yeah, I don't have a Dynasty poster. This isn't the greatest version of Dynasty. I'm going to replace it eventually. It's not the greatest that I have. It's not what I want to have. So, all right. Well, we're almost 12 o'clock. What's my favorite era of costumes? Good question. The Love Gun era. I love the Love Gun era. That's the era that sticks in my brain. That's the era that I grew up seeing them in, was the Love Gun era. And, you know, Gene with his chain mail, and Ace with his big silver, big silver things he had. The Love Gun era, man, it's just awesome. I really love that era. I don't like they called it Dynasty a disco album. I don't like they called Dynasty a disco album. It's one disco song. I agree, totally. To me, Dynasty is not a disco album. It is a rock album that has a disco song on it. Charisma is not a disco song. Dirty Living has that little bit of a disco beat to it, but it's not disco. Sure Know Something is not disco. Magic Touch is not disco. 2000 Man is not sure as hell isn't disco. There's some really good songs on Dynasty. I Was Made for Loving You is probably my least favorite song on Dynasty. I'm not a big fan of that song, but man, Save Your Love from Ace is not Hard Times, You know, those all kick ass. That's a rock album. It's not, you know, but it got blamed because Paul wanted to write a disco song because he was hanging out in Studio 54 and he wanted to cash in on the disco. And so him and Vinnie Poncha, they wrote a disco song. So let's see. MT Unplugged has one. Okay, cool. My first KISS show was in 1176 in Charlotte. Okay, David, cool. I grew up near Charlotte. But in 78 show in Charlotte, a live 2 tour was magical. Dude, I wished I would have been into KISS at that time. I think I was a KISS fan in 78, but I think I was still a little too young for my mom to feel comfortable for me to go to a concert. It was actually not my mom that took me to a concert. It was my aunt took me to Dynasty. 70s KISS, 74 to 77 will always be my go-to. Cool. I agree. Carr, Singer, or Chris? Who's the best drummer for KISS? Wow. Depends on the era. I think each one was the best era for the era. I would not want Eric Singer or Eric Carr playing during the 1970s KISS. I would not want their playing style to be there. I think each one is their best for their era that they are in. I don't like the way Eric Singer plays a lot of the older songs. I can't stand the way he plays Detroit Rock City. I don't like the way he plays a lot of the Cold Gin. I don't like the way he plays it. He puts too much into it. Those old songs are KISS songs. They're keep it simple, stupid. They're KISS songs. You kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid. And you just, when you're playing an old KISS song from the 70s, you just got to lay back and you just got to let the song drive you. You can't be there doing all the double pedals and all the crazy different fills and everything. You know, just play what the song feels, what it needs. Don't overplay it. Eric does that a lot with the older songs. And Eric Carr did it a lot with the older songs too. Played them too damn fast, in my opinion. Let's see. My favorite Unmasked song is That You? My favorite Unmasked song is Shandy. I really enjoyed the Lick It Up album. Brings me back to my freshman year of high school during the driving a moped around in the snow. I love Lick It Up too. I remember when Lick It Up came out, and like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the song Lick It Up, but I love songs like Young and Wasted. Exciter is really good. Gimme More is good. I mean, I love a lot of songs off of Lick It Up. And Vinny did a good job in saving KISS with Lick It Up and with Creatures of the Night, whether they want to admit it or not. Yeah, I remember getting bubblegum cards for 50 cents in the 70s. I remember going around collecting bottles and returning them for money to go buy either put money in the jukebox to listen to KISS songs at the local store. They had a jukebox in there. Or buying a KISS magazine that was in the magazine stand, or getting the KISS cards, the Don Russ KISS cards. I had the whole collection, Series 1 and Series 2. I had some that were sealed, and I had the box. I even had a box, an empty box. One time I went up there and I bought like the last 5 or 6 packs that was in there. It was an empty box. I asked the lady if I could have it. She said I could. I remember they were blue, but I don't have any of that stuff anymore. It all got stolen years back, about 20 years ago. It breaks my heart. My collection would have been worth so much money right now. Anyway, let's see. Eric's overplayed a lot of old songs. I agree. I don't like how Singer does Deuce. I agree. I went to the Vinny Expo in Atlanta and the Ace Indie Expo back in 2018. Had an awesome expo. Had an awesome experience meeting Vinny and Ace. You know, I really wanted to go to that one where Ace played his whole solo album, and I remember the one that Vinny was just in. You know, he's been in and out here lately. Lick It Up is the best non-makeup KISS album. Man, I'm glad you think that. I don't know. I don't know. It's really good, though. It's really good. I recall hearing the reason that Carr played so fast is because Paul told him to, because he thought it more fit with the hair metal style of the era. Yeah, you know, and I do too. I could see that because everybody was playing faster, faster, faster. And KISS, they went from being creators to being imitators, and they went from creating trends to chasing trends, and that's why they had Mark St. John, because Mark St. John was, and that's why they had Vinnie Vincent, you know. But then now you hear about it. I actually heard Paul one time talking about, you know, Mark St. John, and he did like a gun, which I think is kind of in bad taste since Mark St. John's dead now. But yeah, I think that's a possibility too. Do you remember the floor of the stage show in Animalized? It was the cover. Yeah, all the furs. I do. I remember that. The only way KISS has lasted this long was because of the original KISS crew. Fully believe that. I was too young to be there in the 70s, 53 now, or see them in the 70s, 53. I was thankful to see them on the reunion tour in Chapel Hill and the circus tour in Raleigh. Okay. Revenge and Carnival is best non-makeup KISS album, Bethany. Revenge and Carnival are both really good. I'd probably say my favorite non-KISS makeup KISS album is probably Carnival of Souls. And a lot of people hate that album because it doesn't sound like KISS, and that's a good thing. Mark St. John played guitar on Animalized. He did. I think he only played like 2 shows. I was the extra in Frehley's Comets band Into the Night. Ace is a real dude, not pretentious. Love him. Met home. What's your favorite Animalized song? Mr. Speed's one of the best KISS songs. It's underrated and never played live. I totally agree. Favorite Animalized song? Let me see here, because I'm not a big fan of the Animalized album. I love the tour. The tour freaking rocked, even though Eric played everything too fast. His drum solo was great. I love this album. It's one of the few albums you don't see any representation of KISS on the cover, along with the Elder here. So let's see. I've Had Enough. Let's look at this album here. I've Had Enough. Into the Fire, I love. Heaven's on Fire, I love. Burn Bitch Burn, I love. Get All You Can Take is Paul's singing in that upper register on that. And it kind of gets to my brain. Lonely is the Hunter, I hate. Lonely is the Hunter. I don't like it. Under the Gun is a kick-ass, fast, almost thrash for KISS. Thrills in the Night, it's okay. While the City Sleeps, I'm not a fan of. Murder in High Heels, I'm not a fan of. So really, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because they're a song short, because Gene wasn't doing shit on this album. But what's funny is I love Burn Bitch Burn. It's probably my favorite song on this album is Burn Bitch Burn. Heaven's on Fire. But yeah, I really only like I've Had Enough, Heaven's on Fire, Burn Bitch Burn, and Under the Gun. So that's 4 out of the 5. The other ones I can take them or leave them. You know, that's just my take. That's just me. And I reviewed this album. If you want to see, I reviewed all the way up to Psycho Circus. So if you want to see my thoughts on this, you can check out my channel and look at the playlist for KISS album reviews. And I've reviewed all these albums from KISS all the way up to Psycho Circus. You can check them out. Let's see. Let's see. My favorite Animalized song is I've Had Enough and Heaven's on Fire. Yep. Best sounding albums, best sounding KISS albums, Love Gun and Dress to Kill. Here's a fun fact. Paul Stanley is on every album with a track until the Revenge album. Oh, he leads off. Yes, and I actually mentioned that in my Revenge review that Paul Stanley actually led every album, studio album, until Revenge. And if they would have done the first album the way they did their shows, it would have been Gene led it because they would have done Deuce first rather than Strutter, because they usually play Deuce first in their shows. Majority of Kiss, 80s Kiss was just a vehicle for Paul to do solo stuff, not a whole lot of great songs. I kind of agree with that statement. I have a 1984 Stockholm bootleg CD. That's awesome. What was the first Kiss album you bought with your own money? Alive was mine. My first Kiss album I bought with my own money was Dynasty. And my mom bought me all the albums. My first album I ever had was Destroyer. Then Alive 2 I got a couple weeks later. And then my mom started buying me through either Columbia Records house or going to a record store called J. Joe's, local to my house. Started buying me the other albums. I had a lot of the later albums. Like I said, they were only up to Kiss Alive 2 whenever I started liking Kiss. Double Platinum came out shortly after. My mom bought it for me immediately. And then when the solo albums came out, I remember going down and getting in line. And you went going in and buying the solo albums, and you got this bag if you bought all 4 of them. And they had posters they were selling, a bunch of stuff that was in the merch forms they had in the store. And then I remember when Dynasty went on sale, I bought it with my own money. And I remember when it went on sale, there was a line down the aisle, down the road, and they actually ran out of Dynasty. I got mine before they ran out, but they actually ran out while I was still in the store. And they had to tell people on the line that they wasn't going to get a copy. You couldn't download it. You couldn't stream it. You know, you had to have it that way. Going to take a few more questions here. We'll probably wrap it up. It's after 12. Happy birthday, Bethany. Bethany, we're not going to say how old you are. I don't know, but I know that it's your birthday because you said you wanted it to go to past your birthday. So, happy birthday, Bethany. Everybody wish Bethany a happy birthday. Let's see. What do I think of Halloween special with Kiss and Paul Lynde? I love it. I love the Halloween special. The compilations of the first 3 albums is called the Originals, and I have it. I haven't showed it, but the Originals is right here, and it's a compilation of the first 3 albums. And I don't have all the inserts. But when you open it up, the albums are in there, and they're in like dust sleeves. This is like paper, like dust sleeves. It's not like thick albums, but there's Alive, there's Harder Than Hell, and there's Dressed to Kill. So yeah, it's called the Originals. And there's a Japanese version called, the Japanese release called the Originals 2, which is Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun. And it wasn't released in America. It wasn't. They didn't do a lot of pressings on it. From what I understand, it's very rare, and when you find it, it's very expensive. So, yeah. Let's see. Paul said that he could easily write a disco song. Unfortunately, he was correct. That's true. Paul, I like Paul always would. He did a lot of his songs were exercises in writing. Hard Luck Woman, he was trying to write a song for Rod Stewart that sounded like Rod Stewart. He had exercises in writings, and he drew a lot from other places like Firehouse that he wrote when he was 16. He was trying to imitate a song called Fire Brigade. So Paul, an amazing writer. He's wrote some stinkers, and he's made some bad choices in writing over the years, but hands down, consistently, I think he's the best songwriter in Kiss. How many of you had a wall-to-wall Kiss posters as a kid? I did, and on the ceiling, and pretty much everywhere. I was the kid that would stuff my albums into my book bag and take them to my Miko Kiss dolls I had. I stuffed them, broke the shit out of the legs on them and stuff from stuffing them in a book bag. Just about anything I had Kiss I could fit into a book bag, I would take it. I remember one time I took my metal Kiss trash can to school. They probably thought I was the oddest little fucker because anything I had Kiss, my lunchbox, of course that would seem normal. But I think I could have. I used to wear my Kiss jacket to school. I think if I could have wore makeup, if they'd had some kind of dress up and I could have got away with wearing the makeup, I would have wore the makeup. I had 2 Kiss Your Face makeup kits at one point in time. Let's see. So yeah, I think I'm close to being caught up, and I think it's after midnight, so this is a 3-hour stream, and take a couple more questions here, and I think I'm going to call this about, let's call it at 12:15. We got 6 minutes to go, so let's get in any of the last minute questions, comments. Let's see. You painted your G.I. Joe to be in the band. You did wear makeup to school. That is so badass. I remember the year that Dynasty came out in 1979. I remember me and my sister getting Kiss Your Face makeup kits, and I remember I dressed up as Peter. She dressed up as Ace. We called each other Peter and Ace, and we ran around the neighborhood on Halloween, trick-or-treating and calling each other Peter and Ace. I remember the Halloween costumes. The year we had the Halloween costumes, that was the plastic face with the rubber band around the back of it. It had the vinyl thing that tore up so easy. I remember those. God, I remember I had so much stuff, just so much stuff. The thing that I want to have the most, and I will own one day, and it'll sit over here in this corner, is a Kiss pinball machine. There's a person in my area that has one in mint condition for $3,500. I don't have $3,500. But one of these days, I'm going to own a Kiss pinball machine. And I'm going to start collecting my things again. I haven't seen him in the chat tonight. Rick from It's All For You Demon, he was in the chat earlier today. I don't see him in this one tonight. I know that he had friends that come in and they were going to be watching The Dirt, and he's like an hour behind me on time zone, so they probably got caught up doing that and just socializing and hanging out, which is really cool. But his channel's called It's All For You Demon. I recommend you go over there and check him out. Search it on YouTube. Give him a sub. He's got like 200-300 subscribers. He deserves a hell of a lot more than that. But yeah, check him out. He has the Kiss memorabilia, and he came along late. Like, he came along when he was a freshman in high school, and he's 5 years younger than me, so he's in his mid-40s. And so his first album he bought with his own money was Hot in the Shade. And so he's a late bloomer when it comes to Kiss. But he's gone back and collected like some of this vintage stuff. And he's got like all the Miko dolls. And he has his videos, he shows it off. And I tell him after every video, I private message him on Instagram. And I'm like, dude, I fucking hate you. You make me sick. Because he's got all this cool stuff. But I'm going to start collecting that stuff a little bit, I've got some stuff I'm doing around my house that's taking up most of my spare money. We put a pool in last year. We still got to do some stuff to do around it. Yard work's coming up. You guys know, if any of you have a pool, how much of a pain in the ass and a money pit that those things can be. But they're so much fun, and my grandkids love the shit out of them. So, would I buy Gene's Vault? Not for $2,000. If I had $2,000 laying around, I don't even know if I'd buy it for $2,000. Because you basically at $2,000, at that point in time, you were paying for the experience to get to come to and talk to Gene for just a little bit of time. I mean, he'd bring you one to your house and set up in your house and ask questions and play some music for you and I think it was 20 of your closest friends for $50,000. Gene will do anything for $1. But no, I wouldn't buy the Vault for $2,000. It's really cool, but it itself, I don't think it's worth $2,000. Before I bought the Vault for $2,000, I'd buy a Hysteria for I think $1,300, $1,400. I find more value in Casteria for $1,300-$1,400. But I even think then that that's a little overpriced. So I think that's all the questions, and it is 14 after. So guys, I've really appreciated each and every one of you who's been here asking questions, interacting. I really, really appreciate you guys. If you've not subscribed to me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I put out KISS stuff all the time. It's going to keep on going. I always talk about current topics. I get a lot of shit from my Paul Stanley caught lip syncing video and caught lip syncing again video. I get a lot of shit for it. I'm not trying to derail the tour or talk bad about KISS, but I'm just trying to show videos of evidence that that does happen for the naysayers out there. But the naysayers still don't believe me. The sheep still talk shit and even slam me personally, saying I'm fat and all this. I actually got slammed by a bigger YouTube channel. I'm not going to say their names because I'm not going to give them that respect, because I don't respect them. But I got slammed by them because you know, I posted that second one, and they slammed me in a Twitter post. But I am on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Brant Meredith. You can find the links in my other videos. I'm on Instagram at DrummerGeek69. I'm on Facebook at In My Head YouTube channel. And of course, you can see me here on YouTube. And I do have a website coming up soon. So I can just say, go to my website and find all these links rather than having to give all this stuff out. I'm also on Patreon. You can support me on Patreon as well. But if you've not subscribed, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Thanks, Bethany. But guys, every one of you, I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here from the very beginning, you're a trooper. If you were also here earlier in the day like Bethany was, you're a really hardcore trooper. If there's some of you other ones that was here, you know, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go get some drink and get some more drink, and then I'm going to go to bed. I was going to watch Motley Crue again, but I'm tired. All this talking has worn me out. So anyway, guys, I'm Brant. This is In My Head channel, and I really appreciate you guys. And there'll be another live feed soon, maybe in a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. But I'll be sure to put the announcement on my page. If you like my page, if you subscribe to my page and hit notifications, whenever I post it on the social media part, the community part, you'll get it, and you'll be able to see it and join again. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Got to clear all the notifications. Whew. Man, I hope you guys had fun. That was fun. It really was fun. I'm trying to shut the stream down. YouTube don't want me to stop. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Nope. YouTube don't want me to stop. Be like, okay, I'm just going to go over here. Let's see. Let's see if this works. Yep, this is going to work. Bye, y'all.